A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins in the old Wilcox mansion, where Tim's young brother and sister, Jimmy and Trudy, had come earlier to ask for a donation for the antique sale, which the junior firefighters planned to hold. The fire, which had broken out in the attic closet almost immediately after the youngsters left, has quickly and easily been put out. But it brought Jimmy and Trudy face to face with a very serious charge, for Mrs. Wilcox accuses them of setting it. Before we see what happens next, here's an important message for all of you. Let's go, firefighters! Let's join Jimmy and Trudy Collins in the gloomy old attic at the Wilcox mansion, which had seemed so scary when they had been there alone with old Mrs. Wilcox shortly before the fire broke out. It is still cluttered with trunks, furniture, and clothing of a bygone era, but now one end, where the closet had been, is blackened and charred. Chief Cody stands before it with a lamp held high, causing Mrs. Wilcox's shadow to stretch back toward the children who huddled close to their brother Tim. A quick look around, a few sharp questions, and then Chief Cody says,
Well, Mrs. Wilcox, I don't think you'd believe me if I explained what happened. I think it might be wiser to show you who set that fire.
But we didn't do it honest, Chief Cody.
I never for a minute believed you did, Jimmy.
I didn't set it. I'll swear to that.
And then if it wasn't Mrs. Wilcox, it must have been the ghost.
Oh, now, Trudy, you know better than that.
Oh, but Tim, this is a haunted house. Everybody says so.
Well, that's ridiculous, sis. You know that.
No, Tim. Trudy's closer than any of us to the truth. You couldn't say this fire was set by an actual person. And there wouldn't even have been a fire if this wasn't a haunted house.
These children must have set it, Chief Cody. And if you think you can protect them with nonsense like that...
Nonsense, you call it, Mrs. Wilcox? Tell me, why did Jimmy and Trudy come here?
Why, to ask me if I had some old things stored away that I'd give them for their antique sale.
You were awful nice to give us that old cup and saucer and that snuff box thing, Mrs. Wilcox.
That's why we don't see how you can be so mean to think we'd set your house on fire. Isn't that right, Jimmy?
Now, you kids let me have the floor a minute. Jimmy's closing this attic off. He's breaking that skylight while Trudy was sending in the alarm. Probably saved your house.
My haunted house, Chief Cody?
Yes. To put it bluntly, any house that's allowed to become a fire hazard like this has is haunted, Mrs. Wilcox. It's haunted by the possibility of fire, day in and day out.
Oh, ridiculous. I told you how careful I am. Fires don't start of their own accord. And anyway, the fire started in the closet. The lamp was on the floor outside it. Don't you think I know enough to keep it away from any of those clothes that might have been hanging above it?
Well, I suppose so. Oh, gee, Chief, I give up.
Me too.
What happened, Chief?
Tim, you had my permission to stay on after the rescue company left. But I believe the engine and hook and ladder companies haven't finished securing.
That's right, sir.
All right. Well, tell them to stand by a few minutes longer. Oh, if they've still got a line up on the roof, keep it there.
Yes, sir. They finished wetting down the shingles just as we came up here, Chief. Anything else?
Yes. Round up a couple of chemical extinguishers and any rookies like yourself who could profit by a lesson in fire prevention. Get them up here, huh?
Right, sir. There's just one other thing.
Yes, I know, son. Phone your mother. Tell her the kids are safe and sound.
Yes, sir.
Tell her Chief Cody says he'll have them home in time for dinner.
A few minutes later, Jimmy and Trudy are sitting uneasily on a trunk at the opposite end of the long attic from where the fire had been. The lamp on a high box nearby provides a dim pool of light, but beyond it, the room is dark and shadowy.
I wish they hadn't left us alone, Jimmy.
Well, gee whiz, what are you scared of, Trudy? Chief Cody and Mrs. Wilcox will be back in a minute. I think he had something to tell her he didn't want us to hear.
You think that he didn't want to frighten us?
No, I bet she's going to warn her against accusing people of setting fires. She ought to be more careful.
But she didn't set it herself, Jimmy. Not really, I mean.
Well, she did and she didn't, if you ask me.
That's a funny thing to say.
I figure she did something without knowing it, Trudy. And stop looking over your shoulder like that. You make me nervous.
But even Chief Cody said this was a haunted house and that it was true about, well, the ghost.
He didn't mean it like it sounded. You know how grown-ups talk sometimes.
Maybe. I wish I knew what he was going to do.
Well, we'll soon find out. Here he comes with Mrs. Wilcox.
Yeah.
And there's Tim and some of the other firemen.
Mrs. Wilcox has given me her permission to try a little experiment. I'd feel kind of guilty about it, but, well, she's made certain serious charges about a couple of young friends of mine.
Which you haven't yet disproved, Chief Cody.
I will, although you're forcing me into doing it in a way I don't exactly approve of.
Is this going to be dangerous in some way, Chief?
It would be for the average person, Tim, but we've got every factor under control. I'm taking no chances.
Look, Trudy, that closet the chief's opening is just like the one at the other end of the attic.
That's right, Jimmy. If you look carefully, you'll see this end of the room is exactly like the other in every detail.
Oh, I get it, Chief. You can duplicate exactly what happened at the other end before the fire.
Even to taking a look at some of the things Mrs. Wilcox has stored in here, Tim. Now, these clothes I'm taking out of the closet, for instance.
Oh, gosh, are those clothes dusty?
It's just like before, Jimmy. There was a regular cloud of dust, remember?
Here. You take one pile of these dresses and things, Jimmy. You take another, Trudy. And now both of you move back now.
Oh, Chief Nice, is it necessary to take all those clothes out of my closet?
You'll thank me for it in a minute.
This dust is terrible, Chief. Don't you think we should open a window?
Now, we'll get to that. You just stand by with that extinguisher, son. All right, now the dust has settled down enough so you can move that lamp to the exact spot it was in, Mrs. Wilcox.
This seems pretty childish to me. Even you can't make a fire appear out of nowhere, Chief Cody.
I'm not going to. You're forgetting this is the opposite end of the attic, Mrs. Wilcox. That lamp was on the floor on the other side of the closet.
Oh, yes, so it was. But it was just outside it, don't forget. Even if you hadn't taken those clothes out, the lamp isn't near enough to set them on fire.
I agree. The important thing is that it was between the closet and the window. Plus, Switch, I think your lamp was a bit closer to the open closet than you have it now.
Well, perhaps it was. There. Now it's exactly like it was when it blazed up before. And may I point out, nothing has happened.
You haven't yet duplicated everything you did. Will you go over and open that window now?
Well, certainly. I agree with Mr. Collins. We could stand a little air in here. There we are, the nice breeze.
Hey, the closet's on fire.
Tim, do something. Put it out.
Oh, help, my house is on fire.
Okay, Tim. Move in with your extinguisher.
Yes, sir.
Maybe Mrs. Wilcox is convinced now. A little more to this side, Tim.
Yes, sir.
All right, there. That's got it. It's out before it started, Mrs. Wilcox. You can relax.
Wow. Relax. Why, of all things.
Fires can sometimes start out of nowhere, you see, if you provide all the factors they need.
Yes, sir. Dust combustion. So that was the answer, Chief.
Well, I still don't understand what happened. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
Well, that's why I had to go to extremes. It was the only way to teach you a needed lesson, Mrs. Wilcox. Dust particles suspended in the air are not hard to ignite. Certain kinds of dust are downright explosive.
But
It's bad enough here in the room. Just think of the heavy dust cobwebs in that closet. Why, it's saturated.
And when she opened the window, Chief, the lamp was close enough so the invisible heat from the chimney blew in. You could see it flare up for a second, too.
The whole thing happens in a flash. And think of that dust being ignited in a closet full of clothes, Mrs. Wilcox.
Oh, I'd rather not. I'd rather not think of how I've acted either. Oh, Jimmy and Trudy, I don't know what to say.
Oh, that's all right. We're sorry it ever happened.
Oh, but to lose my head like I did, to accuse you both.
Oh, you just forget it now, Mrs. Wilcox.
Oh.
Maybe I can get some of the junior firefighters over here to help you clean up your house so it'll be safer.
Jimmy, you make me feel ashamed of myself. But I promise you we'll find lots of things that you can have for that antique sale of yours. If you'll just forget the way I acted and the things I said.
Well, he'll forget, all right. He did a good job tonight. I think he's earned a surprise that'll keep his mind on something else tomorrow.
Yeah? What is it, Chief? Do you know, Tim?
I sure do, because I'm in on it, too.
Oh, gosh, tell me what it is, huh?
Well, then it wouldn't be a surprise, Jimmy. Now, how would you and Trudy like a ride home in the Chief's car, huh?
I would. I'm getting awful hungry.
Now, there's a woman for you. All right, give me your hand, young lady. All right, the rest of you secure, and then let's roll.
But for once, Jimmy's mind is not on the excitement and noise of securing. As the trucks pull away, he's trying mighty hard to figure out what Chief Cody has in mind for him. Now, if you're as anxious as Jimmy is, be sure to listen to the next exciting episode of the Firefighters. In a moment, Chief Cody will be back with a word for you boys and girls. But first, a special message. And now here's Fire Chief Bob Cody with a very special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
This is Chief Cody back again, boys and girls. Firefighters, attention. After what happened in the old Wilcox mansion, I shouldn't have to say this, but I can't repeat it too often. Never poke around in dusty closets with a lamp, a candle, or lighted matches. Dust is inflammable. Now, if there's not enough light in the room, use a flashlight. Now, let me repeat once more. Never poke around in dusty closets with a lamp, a candle, or lighted matches. Well, that is all. Until next time, this is Chief Bob Cody saying so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on this same station. And next time you'll hear... Let's roll! Let's go! Firefighters!
The National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington. United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad. These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each Friday night. Tonight, Case of the Foreign Fires.
There it is. Defense Department Storage Depot number 3.
The gate's about 100 yards from this corner, isn't it?
Yes. Drive right up to it. See if the sentry's awake.
No challenge. Looks like he's asleep.
Who guards there? Shouldn't jump to conclusions. Captain Taylor, Lieutenant Bryant, Inspector General's office.
Advance and be recognized.
You stay at the wheel, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir.
All right, Sentry.
May I see your AGO card, sir?
Yeah, here it is. I'll pass it through the gate. We're spot checking security measures for the IG's office.
Yes, sir. Your AGO card.
Thank you, Corporal. All right, Lieutenant, drive in. Well, security at this entrance is in good shape.
Thank you, sir.
There's another sentry at the south gate, isn't there?
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll see how alert he is when we come on him from the rear.
You'll find Corporal Billings...
Nice work, Lieutenant. Out like a light. Yeah.
All right, load him in the back of the Jeep. We'll take care of the other sentry and then get down to the real business of the evening.
That does it, Lieutenant.
Cut it, Mike, before you start thinking you're really brass.
Hey, you dragged those two sentries in here. What's the idea? When this warehouse goes up in smoke, they go up too. And there's nobody around to identify us.
I don't like it, Mike. Murder ain't part of this.
Stop crying, Kenny. That's part of our deal. To put a torch to the joint and leave no witnesses. Or don't you want to get paid off?
Yeah. I want to get paid off.
Okay, then. Your stuff all set?
Yeah, it's all set. I'll touch off this waste. It'll smolder for about 15 minutes and then reach the gasoline. In 20 minutes, this whole joint will be in flames.
Good enough. We'll be far enough away by then. All right, touch it off and let's beat it.
Right. All right, let's go.
Department of Defense to Counterspy Headquarters. Request immediate investigation of fire in our storage depot number 3, Hagerstown, Maryland. Fire consumes stockpile raw materials for defense. Therefore, request this investigation be given personal attention of David Harding, Counterspy Chief.
In the Counterspy Statistical Department, please report to Mr. Harding immediately. Will Mr. Peters in the Counterspy...
Yes, Mr. Harding?
This teletype just came in from the Defense Department, Peters.
Hmm?
The raw material was cinchona bark.
Cinchona? That's what they make quinine out of.
Yes. Building up a big stockpile of it. This fire may have destroyed a third of our entire supply.
Any more details than this, Chief?
No, not right now. That's why I want you to go up there and take personal charge for me.
Will do.
Now, our Baltimore field office has already been notified they'll have a mobile laboratory and agents on the scene by the time you get there.
Good.
And, Peters, I want your investigation to be thorough and send me complete reports. From the sparse details we've gotten so far, it's barely possible this fire may be of accidental origin.
But not likely, hmm?
No. Not when we know how valuable quinine would be in the event of any armed conflict in the East or the Near East. No, Peter, I'll lay odds you'll find evidence of sabotage.
What is this, Lieutenant? An all-day march?
Will you cut that lieutenant stuff, Mike?
Hey, now, Kenny boy, you shouldn't talk to a captain like that.
Some captain.
I thought I looked pretty in a uniform. What are you pacing for, Kenny boy? Sit down and relax.
I don't feel like relaxing. This place gives me the creeps.
You're a big boy, Kenny. Don't be afraid of an empty house, even if it is supposed to be haunted.
That's very funny, but just how long are we going to have to hang around here?
Till Gregor shows up and pays off.
Yeah, real bright deal he is. We don't know a thing about him. Supposing he don't show.
I know all about him, Kenny. He just thinks I don't. He'll show, and he'll pay off. And then a couple of months from now, he'll pay some more.
You going to put the squeeze on him?
Why not? He's got plenty of dough behind him.
I got a doubt.
And in his line of business, he can't squawk at a squeeze. They shoot spies.
And hang murderers. Count me out. I just want the payoff. You can do your whistling act solo.
You? Passing up easy change?
Now, look. It stopped being easy when we left those soldiers in the warehouse. I never should have let you...
Take a look, Kenny.
Gregor and that tomato of his, Irene.
Yeah? She can climb in my cell at any time.
Okay, Mike, okay. You take the tomato, I'll take the lettuce. Long green bills. Let's get this payoff over with fast and wash up the deal, huh?
Well, then let the man in, Kenny.
Oh, Gregor, Irene. How do you do? Kenneth? Michael?
Hi, Gregor.
That hi in front of Gregor always sounds so incongruous.
I'll take English lessons. You want to teach me?
It might be interesting.
Irene. Let's cut the chatter and get down to business, huh? That's what I like. The direct American approach. You owe us 5 G's. Pay off and we'll wind this up.
G's?
He means thousands, Gregor.
Of dollars, Gregor.
Oh, of course, Michael.
What about the other projects, shall we say?
Well, let's settle this.
Wait a minute, Mike. What other projects?
Didn't you discuss them with your partner, Michael? Shut up, Kenny. I'll talk to you later.
You talk now. Were you cooking up a deal with this character for more jobs?
He was. We had in mind several projects, the first of which was a rubber stockpile I would be most happy to see vanish.
As far as I'm concerned, this was strictly a one-shot deal that I'm sorry I ever got into.
May I ask why, Kenneth?
Sure. Sabotage. I didn't like the smell of it from the start, but Mike talked me into it for a past $5,000.
Don't tell me you are suddenly becoming patriotic, Kenneth.
Yeah. Maybe that's it, huh?
Perhaps that's why you did not fulfill your part of the agreement.
We did the job.
Wait a minute, Kenny. Now, look, Gregor. We burned the joint down. Don't try to pull a fast shuffle on us.
True, but both sentries were to be eliminated.
They were.
Not according to this newspaper bulletin.
Yeah, read it. No fatalities occurring from the fire have as yet been reported, though the 2 sentries on duty were severely burned. What?
That's what it says.
Well, they must have come to before the fire got a good start, that's all.
I'm greatly disappointed, Michael. I had always gotten the impression from American films that your type of man was thorough about these things.
Okay, so we're not knock the price down.
Yeah, but let's wash this up now fast.
I'm afraid it's not as simple as that.
Gregor.
I'll handle this, Irene.
What do you mean, not simple?
The sentries could identify you both. And you, in turn, could identify us. Not a happy situation.
Listen, Gregor.
I think you'd better listen, Michael.
A gun.
You can't pull anything like this.
I pull nothing, Michael. You have merely handled your job inefficiently. Therefore, you must be liquidated.
Gregor, I would like to leave.
This will only take a minute, Irene.
Why, you dirty spy. I'll get you for this.
Your friend Kenneth was impetuous, Michael. Are you?
You double-crosser.
So true.
All right, get it over with. Shoot.
No, Michael. I have a better use for you than I have for your helper. Turn around.
What for?
No questions. Turn.
What comes next?
This.
Gregor,
Later, Irene. I will need your help to carry this one out to our car. He will play a big part in our plans for a really impressive bit of sabotage.
Mr. Harding. Where are you, Chief?
In here, Peters. Shaving.
Oh. Stepping out for the night?
No, I've been here in the office all day waiting to hear from you. Thought I'd save some time by shaving now.
All right, I'll wait till you finish.
Oh, go ahead. Talk while I shave. I'm almost through.
Well, Chief, there's no doubt the fire was sabotage.
Yes, I gathered that from the news flash about the sentries there. How are they?
Suffering from shock and second-degree burns.
Yeah? Couldn't question them?
Little. One of them said he could identify the men who did it, and that's when the doctor ushered me out of the room.
When will be able to question them more thoroughly?
Well, the doc said probably tomorrow, day after at the latest.
Oh, good.
The best part about it, Chief, is this. We've got a clear set of fingerprints on one of the arsonists.
Fingerprints? Where?
On the leather-tied belt the sentries wear on guard duty. The sentries apparently were dragged into the warehouse by those belts.
Oh, that's great.
I'll get that, Chief. Our fingerprint section's classifying the prints now. We may get an identification out of it.
Oh, I hope so.
Hello? Yes, this is Mr. Harding's office. No, this is not Mr. Harding speaking. Just a moment. For you, Chief. A female.
Well, I'll be right there.
Well,
she look like, Chief? Or is it a secret?
Stop trying to be a comic. Give me that phone.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Is this Mr. David Harding?
It is.
You would perhaps like to know something about the fire in the defense warehouse in Maryland.
Why, of course. Who is this?
I will meet you if you can guarantee me protection.
If you've got anything to tell us, you'll be protected to the full extent of our ability.
Very well, then. I will come to your headquarters.
When? How will we know you?
What is it there?
Just wait.
I will be there in half an hour, wearing a camel's hair coat and black tam.
Yes?
Meet me at the entrance to your headquarters. And when I am safely in your custody, I will tell you not only about the fire, but about plans that are being made for even greater sabotage against our country.
Back to Counterspy in a moment. It is urgent that all of us give full and continued attention to the problem of employing workers with physical handicaps. Employing physically handicapped workers makes them self-supporting, saves public funds, increases the number of taxpayers, boosts production, and benefits your community. Prejudice and lack of correct information are the greatest obstacles to employment of workers who are handicapped, but who are otherwise fully equipped to do a good job in business and industry. The injured or crippled, whether disabled by birth, accident, or disease, should be encouraged to get in touch with their state divisions of vocational rehabilitation, or with the Veterans Administration if their disability took place before July 26, 1947, in connection with service and in the armed forces. Those ready and trained for work should be urged to register with the state employment offices. Employers should also be reminded to use these facilities. For further information, write Vice Admiral Ross T. McIntyre, Room 1136, United States Department of Labor, Washington 25, D.C. And now, back to Counterspy.
You sure she said half an hour, Mr. Harding?
That's what I heard, Peter.
It's almost 40 minutes since the call and no camel's hair coat and black tam yet.
Well, we'll just have to wait.
There's a cab stopping now, Chief.
Well, that could be... That's her.
Look at her. She's weaving.
Come on, Peter.
Chief, that car coming up behind the cab.
Hey, what's going on here?
Peter, take the car. I'll get the girl.
Miss.
Peters, come here.
My shots went wide, Chief, but I got the license number and make of the car.
Get it right up to our radio communications room and out to the Washington Police patrol cars.
Right.
And call our medical section. Tell them to send a stretcher out here. This girl's been hit bad.
To all Washington police cars from Counterspy headquarters, be on alert for black Packard sedan, Montana license number 891-72-13. Occupants armed and dangerous. If car spotted, notify Counterspy headquarters immediately. That is all.
How is she, Doctor? Is it serious?
Well, not the wounds. It's just a flesh wound in the arm. The bullet went clear through, and her side was creased by a bullet.
I see. Well, can I talk to her?
I'm afraid not. The effects of shot. She's in a state of trauma, almost like a drug sleep.
When can I talk to her?
Well, when she comes out of shock.
Any idea when that'll be?
10 minutes, 10 hours.
Oh, great. Will you mind standing by until she does come out of the shock? I'll want to talk to her immediately. You better check the fact that I can.
I'll be standing by, Mr. Harding.
Do you want to move her, or will she be all right in that couch in my office?
Oh, better to let her remain where she is.
All right, whatever you say.
How is she, Chief?
Unconscious for the moment. Anything on that car?
Excuse me, Mr. Harding. I'll go in and keep an eye on her.
Right, Doctor. Let me know the minute I can talk to her.
Yes, sir.
Now, what about the car, Peter?
No trace of it, Chief.
But there was a report just a few minutes ago of a car accident on the banks of the Potomac.
Oh?
A black sedan went into the river. I'm having it raised now, and I'll bet it's our baby. Empty.
Did you check on the Montana license?
Yes. I called our field office in Montana. They'll wake the clerk of the Motor Vehicle Bureau and get to us as soon as possible.
Good. What about the bullets?
We found the 3 of them on the steps to our headquarters, Chief. The laboratory's got them now. Meanwhile, we got an unexpected break.
Yeah, what?
When that car drove away, it went through a puddle of water. And we've got a beautiful set of photos of the tire tracks.
Good.
I've put them through the regular routine. We'll have agents checking them as soon as we raise that car from the river.
That's fine, Peters. Now, any report on the fingerprints on that sentry's belt?
Not yet, Chief. I'll check that right away.
Okay. But first, Peters, let's take out some insurance on the girl.
How?
There are a bunch of reporters in the lobby very anxious to know what this is all about. Tell them the whole story, but embellish one fact. Tell them the girl was fatally wounded.
Okay, Chief.
Now, you keep me posted on the results you get from the bullets and the tire tracks. I'll stick here. I want to talk to that girl the minute she regains consciousness.
Mr. Harding. Chief.
Oh, Peter.
Fine thing. While I'm running my feet off chasing lab reports.
Never mind, Peters. This job, you have to catch your sleep while you can.
That sounds good.
Besides, that's why it's good to be the boss. Oh, what time is it?
That's more like the reason. It's almost 2 a.m.
2? Well, that girl's been unconscious for almost 3 hours.
Just about.
Hope she comes around soon. Oh, what have you got?
Well, the prints on the sentry's belt belong to a guy we've got in our files.
American?
Yes. Michael Deacon. Small-time arsonist. I've already put out a pickup on him.
Good. What about the license?
We drew a blank there. That Montana license belongs to a Miss Abigail Buffington, whose own car and license at the moment are in her garage in Montana, while she's probably trying to get back to the sound sleep our agent woke her from.
Yeah, a phony plate, huh?
Mm-hmm. And nothing on the tire tracks yet, either.
And the bullets?
Now, there's something that...
Mr. Harding? Oh, hello, Peters.
Hello, Doc.
The girl's conscious, Doctor?
Yes, no trace of shock. Splendid recovery. She could go home right now if she had to, with just a fresh dressing on that flesh wound in her arm.
Well, then I can talk to her.
For as long as you want.
Before you do, Chief, take a look at this report on the bullets.
Oh. I see. It's very interesting. Doctor.
Yes, Mr. Harding.
Get me a complete medical report on the shooting as soon as you can, will you?
Certainly, sir.
You stick out here, Peters. I may need you.
Right, Chief.
Well, how are you now, Miss Waters?
Oh, Mr. Harding?
Yes.
You know my name.
From the cards in your purse.
Of course. Listen, Mr. Harding, I must tell you immediately about the fire in Maryland.
We know about it, Miss Waters, the fact that it was sabotaged.
Yes, but do you know there is another such incident planned for tonight?
What? Where?
At a rubber depot in Purdy, Virginia.
Go on. Peters.
Yes, Chief.
Get this. Continue, Miss Waters.
Well, it's the Defense Department rubber stockpile in Purdy, Virginia. It is to be set fire to tonight by a man named Gregor Markov.
All right, Peters. Get busy on notifying Purdy.
Right away, Chief.
Now, Miss Waters.
Oh, please, Mr. Harding, before you continue, could I ask a favor?
And what is it?
Would it be possible for you to tell the papers that I'm dead? The shooting, it would be so good that way I could live without fear.
It has already been done, Miss Waters.
Oh, wonderful. Now I have much to tell you.
Well, yes, go on.
Well, as you may have gathered, I am not American, though I am a naturalized citizen.
Yeah.
I came to this country in 1936 at the height of the Depression.
I can guess part of the story. You became involved in quite a few causes and activities, huh?
Yes, I'm sorry to say...
That depot in Purdy, it's already ablaze. They're fighting the fire now.
What?
But it can't be. It was for tonight.
Well, it's now 2 o'clock in the morning, Miss Waters.
I've been unconscious that long?
Yes. Now, Peters, get out there right away. Take charge of the investigation.
All right, Chief.
Now, Miss Waters, go right ahead.
Mr. Harding, I suddenly feel very weak. Could we continue this later?
You have more to tell me.
Much. Many names and people you would not imagine would betray this country, but my strength is not up to it now.
Well, you can rest right here.
I would rather my own apartment.
Your own apartment?
It is one that I've kept for myself. They don't know it. If you could only put a guard on it.
Well, all right, Miss Waters. I'll have one of our agents escort you home, and we'll have an agent watching your apartment every second you're there.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Harding.
Do you know how to use a gun?
A little, but I haven't got one.
Well, I'll give you one, just for added insurance.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Harding.
I'll be around to see you in the morning. We'll pick up this conversation then.
All right, Mr. Harding. I'm sure that what I have to tell you will hold many surprises for you.
I'm sure it will, Miss Waters. Now, just rest here, and I'll send for an agent in a car to take you home.
Thank you, Mr. Crandall.
That's all right, Miss Waters.
You will be at my door all night.
Well, that's the job Mr. Harding gave me. Don't worry, I'll be here.
That is good to know. Good night.
Good night.
Hello, Irene.
Oh. Gregor, you had plenty of time?
More than enough. How did your part go?
Perfectly. There's a counterspy outside the door now guarding me.
Wonderful. I'll be perfectly safe in here then.
Yes. The depot is destroyed?
I'm afraid not completely, but that's unimportant. The main item is for you to gain the confidence of the counterspies.
What about Michael's body?
In the depot, burned beyond recognition. But my rings, watch, and identification are all on him.
Well, that will confirm my story about you.
Should be the first step in getting you into the confidence of the counterspies.
Yes, but I'll have to have more to tell Mr. Harding when he comes here in the morning.
There will be plenty to tell. Here's a list of names of people who have aided us in the past. You can betray them.
They will do some talking themselves.
They can tell nothing of value. The important thing is to get you firmly into Counterspy headquarters. Then we will be able to learn much of value to us.
I hope so, Gregor.
How's your arm, my dear?
Throbs a bit, but otherwise all right. It was fortunate we made the 2 wounds before I left for the Counterspy headquarters. At least it allowed us to control the seriousness of the injuries.
It was almost a mistake, Irene. I noticed you staggering when you left the cab. If you had collapsed before I had a chance to fire...
I didn't. But I am ready to collapse now, so let me retire. I would like to be fresh for the fairy tales I must tell Mr. Harding in the morning. Mr. Harding.
Good morning, Miss Waters. Okay, Crandall, you can go home and get some shut-eye now. I'll take over.
Thank you, Mr. Harding.
Oh, come in.
Tell me, how do you feel this morning?
Excellent, but the fire in Purdy, was the rubber depot a total loss?
Not quite, but I'd like to show you something.
Yes?
This ring and this watch. Have you ever seen them before?
Yes. They are Gregor Markos. Where did you get them?
From a body found in the fire.
Gregor's dead?
The way we reconstruct it, he set fire to the depot. He started to leave, and he must have slipped on some oil slick. He was knocked out. That was it. Fracture of the skull.
Gregor dead. Wonderful. Now, Mr. Harding, I can speak without fear.
Except for the fact that the body wasn't Gregor's.
What?
There were enough fingerprints to identify him as one Michael Deacon.
I don't understand.
And the gentleman had been dead for at least 3 hours before the fire started, so he couldn't have set it off. Which makes me think, Miss Waters, that your quick acceptance of Markov's death is a little too convenient.
Stay where you are, Mr. Harding. Don't forget you gave me this gun yourself.
Now we're out in the open, huh?
Quite. Gregor!
I heard, Irene.
So, this is Gregor Markov.
Yes, Mr. Harding. It's a shame your American methods of crime deduction are so efficient.
A beautiful scheme to gain the confidence of a counterspy. With you in this apartment, we'd have been guarding the very man we'd be searching for. It's too bad. It's a total loss.
Not a total loss, Mr. Harding.
Oh?
At least from this we can salvage your death, which will be quite a blow to America's counter-espionage forces.
You think you'll escape?
Perhaps not. But it's a good bargain. Our lives for yours. Sorry, Mr. Harding.
Stay where you are, both of you.
All right, Peters. Just keep them covered. You've got 3 more shots, Miss Waters. Why not use them? They're blanks, too.
Blank? What is this?
Another example of American methods of crime, Deduction Markov. Miss Waters, you were under suspicion from the moment you left our headquarters last night.
But why? I said nothing that...
No, but your wounds did, as well as the bullets that were fired at you.
Our laboratory report showed that the bullets never entered your body. No traces of blood or flesh.
And the wound in your arm was parallel to the ground, not at an angle, as it would have been if you'd been shot climbing the steps of Counterspy headquarters. That's why we decided to give you that gun and see how far you'd carry this.
Better not move. This gun isn't loaded with blanks.
Just move them in one direction, Peters. Out. We'll really show them the efficiency of our American methods in dealing with spies and saboteurs.
Tune in every Friday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next Friday for the exciting Case of the Curious Conspiracy.
When certain short-sighted individuals took a long chance to obtain scarce war materials, your counterspies had to adopt very unusual methods of investigation. The full facts will be released next Friday in
Case of the Curious Conspiracy on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Leonard L. Bass, dramatized by Palmer Thompson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Counterspy is produced by Phillips H. Lord.
3 chimes mean good times on NBC. Tomorrow night, Dennis Day joins the battle against hoarding with some merry and nearly disastrous results. Judy Canova discovers 500 shares of supposedly worthless stock, which almost turn her into a millionaire. But millionaire or not, she's the same lovable Judy. The chimes tomorrow mean the Dennis Day Show and the Judy Canova.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison of the grave. This one began with a bedlam and got worse as I bumped into a burglar, a bookie, a Boswell, and a body, and a big shot named B. And before it was all over, everyone had lost his head because the Headless Peacock had moved.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of mystery, comes his most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, as we present The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Headless Peacock.
The day had been 8 noisy hours of international complications, local vintage. It had started when a Frenchman from Beverly Hills who spoke no English hired me to find the Filipino houseboy he thought had stolen the family's silverware to sell to a prosperous downtown Chinese. However, it had played differently since the Frenchman had been wrong all the way. And both the houseboy and the silverware had turned up in the cool of his own basement, where the servant had gone to do his polishing in comfort. Which was hardly the end of things, because even now, as I slumped behind the desk in my office exhausted, the accused Chinese, who was highly insulted, was on hand together with a nasty pet terrier tucked underneath his arm to tell me all about it. And just to top that off, the door was suddenly flung open and bedlam really set in, because the new arrival, who was maybe 28 with green eyes that sparkled in an almost pretty face, was also a redhead with demeanor to match. And it was obvious that 1, she wanted to hire me, 2, she was in a hurry, and more important, Hey! Just a minute! Hold it, both of you. Now, Mr. Tang, I've had enough. Here, on your way out, take this. It's the Frenchman's address in Beverly Hills. The mistake was his. See him. Goodbye, sir. Thanks, honey. It was going to be me or that windbag with Terry any minute. What can I do for you?
Plenty, and all of it in a hurry. Sit down and listen hard, will you, Marlowe? My name is Dennis. Front part Artie.
Oh, which is short for what?
The whole thing. It's really Ruth Dennis. R.D., see?
Oh, that's cute. R.D., Artie. Yeah, what's the problem?
It's a guy I love, Marlowe. He's tall, blonde, and his name is Gordon Holzer, and he sells shoes. But don't laugh, because when he connects, he does it by the carload.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I figure he loves me and at the moment is in lots of trouble.
Why?
Because when I came in on the train late this afternoon, Gordon wasn't on hand with the usual brass band. He wasn't at my apartment either. But a note was. Said he had to work late at the office. I waited an hour and then gave him a ring. They told me he wasn't in, hadn't been for 2 days. Next, I called his home. He has a bungalow up on Vista Del Mar, 7700 North.
Mm-hmm. And when you got no answer, you started to worry, huh?
Yeah, so I went up there. Gordon, of course, wasn't around, but somebody else was. Somebody small on the natty side, with no more eyebrows than a goldfish. He belonged to a new sedan, long and black.
Did you talk to him?
Oh, better than that. We wrestled. Have you got a cigarette?
Oh, yeah, here.
Thanks.
It's all right.
See, Marlowe, this guy was snooping around the place, so I decided to find out a few things. I made believe I had a gun in my pocket, and I told him to put his hands up.
Oh, fine.
Well, it worked for a while.
Which brings us to the wrestling. Huh?
Yes. When I mentioned Gordon's name, he knocked me down. But he wasn't very big, so I managed to hit him once with my bag before he got away. Also, I ripped his coat pocket open. And here, this fell out. It's a newspaper clipping. A picture of a fat hunk of jewelry that was once stolen from someone named Isaac B.
Stolen from Isaac who?
B is in bzz.
Oh.
Look, it's a peacock with the head broken off.
But with a tail that's loaded with diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. What does it mean?
What is it? Marlowe, that's the reason I'm here. I don't know.
Hmm.
If you'll turn the clipping over, you'll see that the theft must have happened quite a while ago because the ad on the back features a Christmas special.
Tell me, you figure that Gordon stole this from Mr. B?
Well, no, I don't.
Well, then why'd you come to me instead of the police?
Well...
You what? Come on, Artie, let's have it all, huh?
Okay.
That's better.
I don't suppose it's smart not to tell you anyway. Gordon isn't all shoe salesman. He's part lunatic when it comes to the horses. You know, the right pony a day keeps the doctor's bills away. I thought I'd cured him. Now I'm less than sure.
So you figured that maybe he got in too deep while you didn't know about it, and now he's trying to even things up by playing with stolen property. Is that it?
I hope not. But even if it is, I still want to help him. Now here, here's $100, Marlowe. Do you go to work for me, yes or no?
Yes, on one condition.
All right, what?
If I find out the facts and pass them on to you, until and if he turns up crooked, and I drop it, agreed?
Agreed.
The lady left, and in that hour that followed, I was on my own in the files of the Hollywood Times. I learned that Isaac B. was a 70-year-old eccentric with curly hair, a bulbous nose, no chin, $1 million, and a mansion on West Adams Boulevard. He had a Napoleonic complex and was a great philanthropist, as long as the grant in question would perpetuate the name of Isaac B. About the Headless Peacock, I learned little except that it had never been recovered and that the gems in the tail were of an unusual cut and would be hard to peddle. So it was 8:30 when I finally dropped the oversized bronze knocker monogrammed IB, after which a man about 40 with a sallow complexion and a voice as delicate as spun glass opened the door, halfway.
Yes, sir?
I'd like to see Mr. Isaac B., please. Name's Marlowe.
And your business?
Personal. I'm a private detective. And you?
Me, why, I'm Everett Ransom. I'm Mr. B's biographer, but also, Mr. Marlowe, I act as his aide. Now, if it's about money for some cause, you'll have to follow the usual channels and write to
You
Mr. B.
can stop right there, Boswell. I'm not after money, just information.
About what?
A piece of jewelry that was stolen from Mr. B., a headless peacock.
The peacock? You know of its whereabouts.
I didn't say that. Now, do I see Mr. B. or no?
You young man, open up, Ransom. Let him in.
Yes, sir.
We'll sit over here in the foyer.
How cozy. Thank you, Ransom. Mr. B., my name is Philip Marlowe.
Yes. I heard a private detective, the peacock and all that. Well, what do you have to say?
Not very much. I understand the peacock was stolen from you some months ago.
Why, yes. Yes, shortly before Christmas. It was one of Mr. B's favorites, priceless as both a museum piece and for the $100,000 worth of jewels.
We all know that, Ransom.
Yes, sir. Shall I go now, sir?
No. That busted me for the Young People's Club. I want you to take it with you before you leave tonight. I'll show you the inscription change I want made the first thing in the morning. You can keep it in your apartment until then.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, Marlowe, get to the point. Quickly, please.
All right. Mr. B., a client of mine...
Whose name is what?
Miss Ruth Dennis, if it matters, is worried about a boyfriend.
Which concerns the peacock in what way?
I don't know. Unless you can tell me something about a natty little man who's short on eyebrows.
Eh?
When last seen, he was carrying a newspaper picture of the bird. Mean anything?
No. Is that all you know about the theft, Mr. Marlowe?
Just about. That and the name Gordon Holzer and a bungalow on Vista Del Mar near Franklin.
Holzer, bungalow. What are you talking about, Marlowe?
Shots in the dark, Mr. B.
Oh, shots.
When they miss a mile. Good night, sir. Outside in my car, as I started away from the curb, I glanced into the rearview mirror and saw the reflection of a sedan that was also just beginning to move. A sedan that was both very long and very black. I kept to the quiet streets and stayed under 30 until I'd gone about 2 miles, and then, at the next intersection, a busy one, I made my move, which was a sudden spurt into thick traffic via a wide left turn that produced screeching tires and frank opinions.
You stupid jerk!
I swung around the block once, made it back onto the quiet street just in time to catch sight of the sedan going by fast. I followed it, and 20 minutes later, when it braked to a stop in Beverly Hills in front of a hat shop marked Lester's, I did the same. I piled out of my car and walked quickly toward what I thought would be the natty man without eyebrows. But when the door of the sedan opened, it was a woman, blonde and beautiful, who ran to the door of the shop, unlocked it, and hurried inside to where a telephone was ringing. There was an alley beside the building, and I ran back to where I could see inside. There were 5 telephones side by side in a phony front cabinet that spelled bookie. And on the wall above a publicity picture of a natty man without eyebrows, sitting in the middle of a bunch of zany hats. Beautiful blonde was talking on one of the telephones. And when I moved closer, I was happy to hear her address the party at the other end of the line as none other than Gordon Holzer.
He's on his way up there now. But where are you? Oh, returning home. That's fine. Key still in the mailbox? Good. Of course, Mr. Holzer, you decided to pay that $15,000 for sure this time, haven't you? You know, Mr. Lester wouldn't want you to disappoint him.
I moved out of the alley quietly and went back. Entered the shop through the front door, which was still open. Beautiful blonde was just hanging up the phone when I stepped into the light.
What?
Good evening.
Who are you? What do you want here?
A new hat. Something chick. Any suggestions?
Yes. Get out of here. This shop is closed for business.
Bedding included?
Why, sir, there must be some mistake. This is a hat shop.
With 5 hidden telephones and a boss man who collects pictures of headless peacocks for a hobby? Sorry, baby, I don't buy it. Not even as a conversation piece. So shall we start all over again, huh, baby?
Well, yes. Why don't we? And with this to keep us from changing the subject.
A heavy service 45, honey. Looks a little bulky in that dainty hand, don't you think?
It'll look worse when it explodes in your face. Now, who are you?
By name, Philip Marlowe.
By occupation?
A private detective. And just to keep the interview rolling, I sleep in pajamas, tops and bottoms alike. Love Chinese cooking, pressed almond duck in particular.
Closer.
And don't prefer blondes.
Give me that. You big bum. I don't know why I didn't shoot.
I do. But lest we lose the question and answer period, your turn. Name.
Patience.
Oh, no. What's the rest of it?
Hancock. A very fine Virginia name, Mr. Marlowe. Anything else?
Yeah, there is. What's your connection with Mr. Lester, Gordon Holzer, and the Headless Peacock?
If it's any of your concern, I happen to be Mr. Lester's business associate. But believe me, when he gets back from Pasadena, he... Oh,
You mean just what you said. The man I'm looking for is in Pasadena.
Don't look.
Thank you, honey child. The interview's now closed because as of this minute, I'm off to the home of the Rose Bowl. Good night, Patience. I was going to Pasadena like Patience Hancock was going to join the Campfire Girls. But as long as the little Virginian wanted it that way, I couldn't see any reason not to play ball. So after I called my client and brought her up to date, blow by blow, I headed for 7700 North Vista Del Mar in what I figured was a business transaction, Headless Peacock included. I parked away from the place, which was cedar shingles under healthy ivy, and a single lamp at work in the living room. Then I walked up to where I could see that a man, blond, tall, and alone, in hat, coat, and frightened face, was about to leave. When the door opened, I took that as my cue to switch 38 from shoulder holster and announce myself.
Well, what do you want with me?
Words, Mr. Holzer, lots of them. You see, I work for Mr. Holzer, that man on the floor there behind you, that natty little man without eyebrows. Seems quite still, as in shot to death.
He is. But I didn't do it. Honest, I didn't. Now, let me out of here. I gotta go.
Start running? Come on, Holzer. I'm not all chump. Get back inside.
Well, all right. But I can explain this.
Oh, sure. It's easy. Like one, you lost too much money playing the horses through this dead bookie here who used to double as a milliner.
Why...
And 2, to square yourself with him, you got mixed up in $100,000 worth of Headless Peacock.
Oh,
and 3, Mr. Holzer, as of just now, you had an appointment with said milliner, which body on the floor here says got out of hand. Do you care to add anything? Like how you got the Peacock away from Isaac B. and what took you so long getting around to peddling it?
I don't know any Isaac B., nor did I...
Or did you what?
Outside the window. Somebody's moving.
Yeah, somebody with a gun. Duck holes. It's going to be lights out.
He's going to shoot!
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, Sunday afternoon, a perfect time for music. Sunday afternoon, the time of the week when almost everyone takes time for relaxation. Combine Sunday afternoon with music and relaxation, and you have the Symphonette and the Choraleers, 2 outstanding CBS musical programs. Most of these same CBS network stations bring you both programs every Sunday. Relax and enjoy them tomorrow. And now with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Headless Peacock.
It had come 1, 2, 3. A corpse on the floor, shots through the window, and Gordon Holzer out the back door while bullets made lights out. And Marlowe on the floor, the smart move. It made this the time to call the law, so in case the character with the gun was still hanging around outside. I left the lights off, humbled my way to the phone, and dialed 116 in the dark. A minute later, I had Detective Lieutenant Matthews on the wire.
So you got a corpse, huh, Marlowe? Give it me again, will you? Who, where, and why?
A guy named Lester, supposed to be a hat designer in Beverly Hills, was taxed up better as a bookie. He was shot to death here at 7700 Vista Del Mar.
Whose place is that?
One Gordon Holzer. He has his name on the mailbox.
Hey, got a motive, Marlowe?
Well, it's a theory. Could be that Lester put on too much pressure trying to collect $15,000 Holzer owed him from bad bets on the ponies. There's more, but it'll keep till you get here, Lieutenant.
Okay, Marlowe. A couple of the boys on their way now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be over myself later. Stick around, will you?
Yeah, okay. Goodbye.
Marlowe, you promised me you wouldn't call in the police, but I heard enough to know you just finished talking to them. Didn't you, you two-faced cheat?
You bet I did, cutie. What's more, when you hired me...
I'm not through. I want to know something else. What are you doing here in the dark, and where is Gordon?
All right. In that order, first the lights are out to keep me from being shot in the back. And second, your boyfriend Holzer left on a double because I was about to find out why Lester's body is here on Holzer's living room floor.
Lester's body?
You heard me.
You mean that little man is in here, dead?
Very much so. And don't burn yourself out on a shock surprise routine.
Marlowe, I swear Okay, turn on a light and show me. Where is this corpse, if any?
Baby, don't forget the last time lights were on in here, the room felt like the receding end of a shooting gallery.
I didn't see any firing line when I came in.
Yeah, that's a point. But there are 2 ways of looking at it.
Will you turn on a light, or will I?
Okay. We'll play it your way. Yeah, take a good look.
Oh, Marlowe, it's him, all right. Same little man.
Artie, you knew I was coming over here. You knew the setup, and I was close to winning an argument with Holzer when somebody broke it up by shooting through that window, straight enough not to hit anything, even though Holzer was a perfect target. Add it up for yourself, baby.
Oh, it wasn't me, Marlowe. Please believe me. You do, don't you?
Let's look in this bag of yours first,
Give
Artie.
me that.
Yeah, in a minute. Well, that's one thing in your favor, no gun. Could have dropped it in the shrubbery on your way to the door, of course. Here's what I really want anyway.
My keys? What do you want them for?
I'll tell you later. Well, that's the boys in blue, and just in time.
Yeah, you louse. In time for what?
To hold on to you as a material witness.
But...
I've got work to do, and I want to get it done without you screaming at me all the way.
Oh, I wish I'd never hired you. I wish I'd never heard of you.
And another thing, if you're playing me for a patsy, kid, that's only the beginning. You'll need a deep well full of wishes before it's over, so come on, behave yourself. I told the 2 prowl car cops no more than I'd already told Lieutenant Matthews, except that Artie should be held because she was Holzer's girl. That plus the small lie that I'd cleared with the lieutenant to leave as soon as help showed, and I was out the door, into my own car, and pointed toward Artie's place, which was on Tamarind. I figured there was a good chance Holzer would head there first, and if I moved fast, I might catch up with him before the police did. Artie's place was dark, which could mean anything under the circumstances, so I dug in my pocket for the keys I'd taken from a purse and started for a door when footsteps behind me changed my mind.
Oh, Marlowe. Mr. Marlowe, say this is a stroke of good luck finding you here.
That depends. How'd you manage it, Mr. Ransom?
Why, Mr. B has had me trying to locate you since about an hour after your interview this evening. I checked everywhere and finally looked up your client's name in the phone book, got this address, and, well, here you are.
Yes, I know. Why have you been after me? What's all the excitement? And make it fast. I'm in a hurry.
Yes. You see, your call this evening intrigued Mr. B and me very much, and after you left, we naturally began discussing the theft of the Peacock again.
Naturally. Look, Ransom, get to some point, will you? I got things to do.
Well, certainly, Mr. Marlowe. Well, sir, the point is that in going over in our minds the days preceding the theft, we both recall a man named Holzer or Holter or something very close to that.
Mm-hmm.
He came to the house one day claiming to represent a certain philanthropy. He was a fake, of course, and we never saw him again, but it was less than a week later that we discovered the Peacock was gone. Stolen.
What did this man look like, you remember?
Well, I most assuredly do. He was bald, about 50, and fat.
No, it couldn't possibly be the same man.
Oh, you found Mr. Holzer then?
Once, briefly, there's no resemblance.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know how I'm going to break the news to Mr. B. He's upset all over again. I can't tell you how much that Headless Peacock means to him.
Try saying $100,000.
Mr. Marlowe, have you run across anything else tonight other than that newspaper clipping that would seem to be connected with the pin in any way? I can arrange a reward, you know.
No, nothing. I'm sorry. Well, good night, Mr. Ransom. If anything comes up about Headless Peacocks, I'll call you as soon as...
What is it? What did you find?
A note stuck on the door.
Oh, maybe I should...
No, I can handle it, really. Dearest Dottie, I didn't realize how fast things got out of hand. I must have lost my mind. I'm going to undo all the wrong I've done, and I'm getting out. Love, Gordon. P.S. I should have listened to a smart girl in the first place.
Why, Mr. Marlowe, the fellow sounds desperate.
Yeah, he's got a right to. That natty little man I mentioned earlier tonight is dead. Murdered.
Oh, great Scott. But then, Mr. Marlowe, then how can this man possibly undo all the wrong he's done, as he says in that note?
That beats me. But one thing is sure. This hands my little client a nice clean slate, which makes my next stop the police. I'll see you, Mr. Ransom, and happy peacock hunting. I got in my car and drove back the way I'd come to Gordon Holzer's house on Vista Del Mar. The prowl car was gone, but Lieutenant Matthews' sedan was angled in against the curb, the red spotlight still on. I parked and went in. The lieutenant, his hands jammed down in his pocket, stood with two other plainclothesmen near the shattered window, while a photographer worked over the corpse on the floor. Artie was nowhere in sight. Matthews spotted me as soon as I walked in and bore down on me with all the frivolity of a heavy cruiser.
Marlowe, I thought I asked you to stick around.
Yeah, you did. But I got an idea that wouldn't keep.
Yeah? Did it prove anything?
Not for sure. Where's the girl?
Which one?
You mean there's more?
Oh, yeah. That red-headed fireball, Artie Dennis, you already know about.
Yeah.
The other one is a Southern belle named Patience Hancock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Belonged to Lester.
Yeah.
Caught her snooping around outside trying to find out what had happened to him, and when we gave her the word, she blew her top.
Mm-hmm.
I got both of them locked up.
Good. Say, did you get any facts out of Patience?
Yeah, plenty.
Oh?
Oh, your bookie theory was right, Marlowe.
Thank you.
Yeah. All we got to do now is find Holzer, wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's as simple as that, Lieutenant, but it's the next step anyway. Come on, let's take a look out back, huh? When he left here, that's the way he ran.
I already looked. It's a blank.
Oh, really?
The door that leads out to the alley. Here, this way.
All right.
And you see? Nothing. Must have beat it through here and out to the street. You wouldn't happen to know where... Now, what's the matter, Marlowe? What are you staring at?
Oh, that window there in the house right across the alley.
Yeah.
See the one with the lights on and the shade drawn?
Oh, yeah. Some old geezer sitting in there. So what about it?
The silhouette of his head on the shade, Matthews.
Yeah?
I won't forget that profile as long as I live. Corduroy hair and a light bulb nose. That is Isaac B. in that room, or... Holy smoke, wait a minute.
Hey, what are you doing? Put the gun away. What's the idea? You're crazy? You're shot down on the ground.
Yeah, and the old guy in there didn't bat an eye. Didn't even turn his head at the sound. That gives me a big idea, and we're going to check something fast. Come on. We ran back inside, and as I picked up the phone, Matthews found out for me that the house across the alley faced on Carmen Avenue. Then I dialed Isaac B.'s home number, and when I finally got a sleepy hello, I asked him a question. The answer he gave boosted the odds on my hunch into the sure thing class. When I hung up, Matthews unhappily agreed to play along, and with one of the plainclothesmen went around to Carmen Avenue to cover the front of the house across the alley. I went out to the back way again, 38 in hand, crossed the alley, climbed up on a brick wall, and moved toward the window. It was 18 inches open. I eased one edge of the blind aside and looked in. The life-size bronze bust of Isaac B. I've heard mentioned earlier sat on a table in front of the window. And beyond that was Gordon Holzer, backed against the wall and staring in stiff fear at a pistol clenched in the hand of the biographer, Everett Ransom.
Don't shoot. I made a mistake, I admit it. You certainly did, Mr. Holzer. A much greater one than you realize. But I want to return this now. I've brought the Peacock back to you. Don't you understand? Yes. Yes, but I'm afraid you don't. I got careless a few weeks ago and left the shade up one night when I took the Peacock out of hiding to admire it. And you watched the whole thing from your dark bedroom window, which is directly across the alley, didn't you? Yes, I knew it must be valuable. When I got in a jam yesterday, I broke in here and stole it. But I'm sorry, and that's why I brought it back. And now... Don't move. Don't move, Mr. Holzer. You see, two facts must never be revealed. One, that I stole the Headless Peacock from Isaac B. a year ago. And two, a little matter of murder. You killed Lester? Yes, I killed Lester. I waited for you to come home, and when that Lester showed up and went into your house, I mistook him for you. He was a very nosy little man. I had to kill him. You shot through my window so I could get away from Marlowe, because you couldn't afford to let me talk to him. In fact, you can't let me talk to anybody. Ever. That's right, Mr. Holzer. Luckily, I found out you'd be coming here to my place to return the Peacock, because I was with Marlowe when he found your note to that girl. He knows a lot about this, Marlowe does. But by the time I'm through, neither he nor anyone else will be able to figure out what really happened. I'll go away. No, Mr. Holzer, it's too late. This way, I'll have to restore that gorgeous thing to Mr. B. But I'll be something of a hero for catching the thief and the murderer. I'm sorry, Mr. Holzer, but after all, you did bring this on yourself.
You're quite a moralist, aren't you, Ransom?
Marlowe! How did you...
Marlowe! Get back, Holzer! Get out of the way!
Drop it and wrench your hand! Turn loose of the gun! No use, Ransom! Come on! Drop it!
Nice going, Holzer. He's out.
And I've got his gun, Marlowe. Yeah. Here it is. I'm going to stand real still. Talk real quietly from now on out. Good enough, Marlowe?
Not quite, but it'll help. From what I've seen of Artie Dennis, brother, you're going to be a lifer anyway, but not with the state. Hey, it's cold out here. Come on, give me a hand.
Thanks for getting me out of the pokey, Mr. Marlowe. You rat.
No, I figure it's safe to turn you loose now, Artie.
Uh-huh. Gordon's going to have to stay in here a while, I guess.
That's right.
But that won't be so bad. At least he'll be where no horses or women can bother him, till I can get to him again.
Won't be for long. He's got a lot in his favor, you know.
I hope so. I still don't understand how it all worked out. I was in jail, remember? How did you pay Ransom?
Well, I saw the profile of Isaac B. on a window blind. Didn't move even when I fired a shot. That convinced me that it was a bust of the old boy. So I called him up at his home, and he told me that Ransom had a house on Carmen Avenue, which put it right across the alley from Holzer's. From there, it all fit.
Well, why didn't Ransom kill Gordon when he fired those shots through the window?
Oh, that. He still hoped to recover the Peacock for himself at that point. But he didn't know where Gordon had put it, so he couldn't afford to kill him right then.
Oh, lovely. You know, Marlowe, all in all, we're pretty lucky, Gordon and I.
Yeah. Try to keep it, will you, baby? Keep it that way on everything but the horses.
Oh, you can make book on that, mister.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Phil.
Good night, baby. I watched her as she walked away. She looked up at the barred windows where a very willing guy was learning a lesson he needed badly. Tossed him an okay with the fingers of one hand. Now, it made me feel good because I was sure she meant it. Was the kind of a kid who could make it stick. Then I drove home, and all the way I thought about the crazy assortment of people that had become involved because of the ponies and the Headless Peacock. I was still thinking about it over a glass of milk in my kitchen when I glanced at the newspaper on the table, opened to the sports page. Oh, it was like magic. My eye was drawn to a box in the corner and down the morning line for tomorrow's races until it stopped at the name Lucky Peacock. Oh, it was perfect. A hunch? A hunch that couldn't miss. Lucky Peacock was a cinch to win by a head. Or maybe he'd lose by a head. Or maybe he'd... Yeah, well, it's no use, Marlowe. Tomorrow you go to the races.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Joan Banks, Howard McNear, Eve McVeigh, Jack Moyles, and Peter Leeds. Lieutenant Detective Matthews was played by Larry Dobkin. The special music is written by Richard Orant and conducted by Ivan Ditmars. Be sure and be with us again when Philip Marlowe says...
This time I took a beating and gave one. The man who lived in the dock was afraid. Someone I never got to meet was murdered and a knife-wielding crab was destroyed. All because a girl who hated the water took a boat ride in old Mexico.
One step to curing a disease is recognizing it and treating it. Hate is a disease, recognized by those who refuse to spread the doctrine of hate by speaking against a fellow American because of his color, race, or religious creed. The treatment to cure the disease of hate is to accept or reject people on their individual worth and to speak up wherever you are against prejudice and for understanding, to do your part to build a truly united America. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcast.
And now, in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States, Waterman's Pens and Waterman's Ink present Gangbusters. Out of the foxholes of Europe, from the steaming jungle swamps of the Pacific, our men are now coming home to a new America. A wave of crime has followed every war, and we must not allow lawbreakers to tear down here at home the very ideals that our men have fought to preserve. Tonight, Gangbusters presents the authentic inside facts about a gun moll who wanted a red dress more than anything else in the world. And so, Louis J. Valentine, former commissioner of the largest police department in the world, takes over to interview by proxy Sheriff E.W. Biscayloos of Los Angeles County, California. Commissioner Valentine.
Sheriff Biscayloos, I know you want to start tonight's case from inside San Quentin Prison.
Yes, Commissioner Valentine. San Quentin is one of our largest and oldest penitentiaries. With steel and concrete walls 18 feet high and 3 feet thick at the bottom. They're impossible to undermine, and guards constantly patrol the top of the walls.
How many killers and criminals are there in San Quentin, Sheriff?
Some 3,500, Commissioner Valentine, or there were on the first Saturday afternoon of last October 1944, when a prisoner knocked on the door of the warden's office.
Come in.
Oh, yes, Connors?
There's a girl in the waiting room, Warden. Is she a beauty? She's sweet and young and fresh.
Oh, that must be Miss Nelson from the Red Cross to pick up my donation. Tell her to come right in, Connors.
Okay. Miss, would you come in and see the warden, please?
Won't you come over and sit down? I didn't expect you so soon. I'll have the Red Cross check made out in just a moment.
Red Cross check?
Why, yes.
I don't understand.
Aren't you Miss Nelson from the Red Cross?
No.
Oh, I see. Who are you?
Juanita Hanson.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Hanson. I was mistaken.
I was waiting for William Crain to be released.
William Crain?
Yes.
Why? You, related to Crain?
I'm his girlfriend.
Just a moment, please. Warden speaking.
William Crain is in the outer office, sir, ready to be released.
All right, Connie, send him in. Are you really William Crane's girlfriend?
Why not?
Well, William Crain is one of the toughest, most dangerous criminals in San Quentin.
But he's being released.
Yes, he served his time for the crime he was convicted of, but...
I've been waiting 5 years for him.
Miss Hanson, you've only one life. You're young, beautiful. Your whole life is before you. I'd think it over if I were you.
Hello, Warden.
Oh, come in, Crain.
Hi, kid.
Hello, Crain.
Well, Warden, looks like this is where you and me part company.
Crain, I hope I don't see you here again. Remember this. Hard work never hurt anyone.
That's what the Warden at Joliet told me before they turned me loose.
I see. Well, good luck, then.
No, I ain't shaking hands with you, Warden.
You've got a good girl there, Crain. Think it over.
The sermon through?
Yes, it's true.
Come on, kid. Let's blow.
Crain, can you imagine that warden calling me a good girl?
What do you got fixed, Juanita?
If this cab driver doesn't fall asleep, we should be there in half an hour. It's a place at Cobblestone Cabin, just north of Bakersfield. Shaky O'Leary's out of the jug. He's up there waiting.
Okay. Things are going to start popping and popping fast.
Your dame done okay, Crain. We're going to be healed right with this artillery she got for us.
Let's see that 38, Shaky.
You can have the 38. Give me the sawed-off shotgun every time. There's a swell hideout, huh, Crain?
Yeah, Juanita did all right. Imagine her putting up white lace curtains. Well, good looking herself.
You got us some good rods here, Juanita. Well, what's eating you?
There's going to be a new deal in this gang, boys.
What new deal?
What do you mean, Juanita?
This time, you're doing as I say.
What?
I'm laying the plan.
Oh, no, there ain't no woman telling me what to do. I've been in this game too long.
And you ended up in San Quentin, Shaky. And Crain...
Oh, wait a minute.
I've been waiting 5 years, Crain. I'm young. I've got a right to live and be happy. Have money, attention, good clothes. I haven't gone places. I've been waiting for you to get out of the penitentiary. Well, now you're out. I want the things I've been dreaming of. You both tried your ways, and the cops got you, put you behind bars. But not this time. I've got everything planned. We'll have everything, but no more penitentiaries.
I don't know, but maybe she's got something, Shaky.
Well, maybe.
It's a new deal, boys. A new deal from now on.
To all cruising police cars, Farmington Hotel, 3974 Wilshire Boulevard, just robbed by 2 gunmen and beautiful girl.
Man just held up by 2 gunmen at 1516 Sunset Boulevard. 3rd holdup by these gunmen today.
Emergency. Grocer on Breed Avenue just held up at gunpoint. Large sum of money taken. Girl driving black sedan. Warning. These gunmen are heavily armed.
What are you pulling up here for, Juanita?
I've got another job lined up across the street.
Hey, not bad. The bank over there. Got it all cased, huh?
Well, no, not exactly.
You can't knock over a bank hit unless you've cased it, know how everything is.
But it's not the bank.
Not the bank, huh? But there's no other place over there, just that little cleaning store.
I know. That's the place I've got picked out for us.
What? You're not...
You're not figuring for us to take over that little joint, Juanita.
Crain, you don't understand good planning. You see, you all need different clothes. The cops are giving out descriptions of what you're wearing. Now, you can't go out and buy clothes you'd be recognized.
Yeah, but a cleaning store.
This time, Juanita, no.
But you've got to.
What is this, anyhow?
For my sake, you've got to, please.
What's back of all this? Why have we got to crack that cleaning store? Come on, why have we?
I told you, Crain. I've been wanting clothes all these years I've been waiting for you. Now, I can't get out and buy any. I'd be recognized. In the window of the cleaning shop, there's a red evening dress. It's the most beautiful evening dress I ever saw. I've never had an evening dress. I've always wanted one. Red, just like that one. Oh, please, I've waited so long. I want that red dress.
Can you beat that?
All right, kid. We'll crack the cleaning store. We'll get us some different clothes and maybe the red dress. Come on, Shaky. Over to the cleaning store. We'll let Juanita have her.
There, we sure brought back a mess of clothes from that cleaning store.
Oh, there's the red evening dress at the bottom of the pile.
Hold on, will you? We're getting to it. Take a look at Shaky and that soup and fish.
Please, I want to see the dress.
Okay, I'll pull it out.
Oh, Crain, look at it. Oh, it's the most beautiful gown I ever saw in my life.
All right, now shut up, will you?
Oh, I love you all. It's beautiful. It's what I always dreamed of.
You're the dance in your life.
Oh, Crain.
Oh, lay off, will you?
I'm going into the other room and get all dressed up. Then you've got to... You can take... Oh, look. Look.
Will you stop?
Look, all the way down the back. It's torn. I can't wear it. It's not...
Oh, shut up. You're getting me down.
No, I've got it, but it's no good. I just want what other people have. But nothing ever turns out right for me.
Listen, Crain, I've been wanting to talk to you about Juanita.
Yeah?
She has too much to say around here.
I know what I'm doing, Shaky. When I want your advice, I'll ask for it.
A slug between her eyes is what she needs.
I said I know what I'm doing. Juanita's tired. She's on edge. I'll handle her all right.
Okay. Just don't wait too long.
I got my plan, Shaky. Don't worry. As long as Juanita's helping us, she stays around.
I'm telling you, Crain, a roadside stand like this, it's nothing but peanuts.
But Juanita's put her finger on a bankroll here.
He's that tall man at the far table. A big-time gambler from Denver. He's got a roll of 3,000 or 4,000.
Says who?
I sent her out alone last night. She lamped him.
I'll go out and have the car running.
Yeah, look at your dame, Crain. She's got the jitters worse than ever.
Never mind that. Okay, this is it.
All right, folks, this is a stick-up. Reach. Hold on. Pipe down on this. What do you mean? I said pipe down.
Get out of the way, you.
No.
I said get out of the way.
No.
Maybe you didn't see this rod.
Yeah, I see it. You can't bluff me.
Look, boss, I took up all he's thrown it.
Why, you little... Make for the car, pal. Get going, Juanita. I just bumped a guy.
You killed him? No, don't say you killed him.
Get going, will you? When I got a gun, no guy is going to stand up to me. Remember that.
Crain made his getaway. Sheriff Fisk came.
Yes, Commissioner Valentine. He literally was riding at the crest. But something which Crain hadn't counted on soon took place.
And now, Commissioner Valentine, I'd like to ask you a question. Isn't it true that one of the hardest things a police officer has to learn is to spot the difference between the guilty and the innocent, between the false and the genuine.
That's right, Mr. Gardner. But modern scientific research and equipment have made it a lot easier to tell the difference.
Yes, friends, and modern research methods have also made it easy to prove the difference between one ink and another, to prove a difference that is truly amazing. For example, recent tests of nationally known inks show that Waterman's Blue Black gives you up to 6,500 extra words every time you fill your pen. Think of it, up to 6,500 more words per filling than any other nationally known ink. That means you save all the muss and bother of frequent refilling. You save time, money, and that annoying loss of thought continuity.
That's fine, Mr. Gardner. But what makes such a big difference?
Well, simple enough, Commissioner. It's because Waterman's Blue Black ink is all ink. No solvents, no dilution, no added chemicals. Every drop is packed with true ink quality, the kind that writes on and on and on. And because it's all ink, Waterman's Blue Black is second to none in resistance to air, light, time, and moisture. Suitable for all types of pens, for all kinds of paper. Leaves no blurry lines, has no unpleasant odors. So switch to Waterman's Blue Black and get just what you ask for, ink. Remember, too, that Waterman's ink comes in 7 other pleasing and distinctive colors, all in the amazingly convenient tip-fill bottle. Only 10 cents. And now back to tonight's case of William Harlan Crain and Commissioner Louis J. Valentine.
Sheriff Biscay Lewis with William Harlan Crain shooting a man and apparently riding high and wide. What was the next development in this case?
Well, it was the day after the shooting, Commissioner Valentine. A woman was sitting in a chair. The spotlight was on her face. Her whole body trembled, and she nervously clasped and unclasped her hands. Finally, she turned to the man who was quietly watching her.
Tell me, Doctor. What is it?
Young lady, you're in bad shape. Your whole nervous system. You're burned out.
What'll I do?
You must have lived a pretty, unusual life.
Yes, I have.
Whom do you live with?
Why, just some people.
That bruise on your face.
Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Yes.
Young lady, I know more about you than you think I do.
What do you mean?
I thought so. Well, I'm going to give you some tablets for your nerves.
I've got to have something.
One of these tablets should put you to sleep, fast asleep. Take only one at a time. I'm giving you 5 extra ones, but don't use them unless you have to.
Thank you, Doctor.
When you get home, take one and hide the others so no one can get to them accidentally. Improperly taken, the tablets can be dangerous.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Doctor. Thank you. And you won't tell anyone I was here, will you?
No. Now, young lady, you've got to learn to relax. Take things easier. A lot easier. Have some fun.
I've never even been in the pier here at Long Beach before, Crain.
Keep walking, Juanita. Right after the end of the pier.
Everybody seems so happy, laughing and everything.
I'm not hearing any laughing matter. Keep walking.
I guess those 2 over there are in love, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what makes them so happy.
I'm nuts, I guess.
We've passed everything now. There's nothing way out at the end of the pier, Crain.
Keep walking.
Well, what are we coming out here for?
I'll tell you when we get there. Come on over here by the rail. Now lean over the rail.
Put your arm around me.
Crain, you mean it?
Sure, I mean it.
Oh. Look at the moon.
I see it.
And the water.
Come closer.
Yes. I've got a confession to make, Crain.
What's that?
I was afraid as I was working out here with you, you might hate me and want me out of the way.
You're nuts. Come closer.
Yes.
Now lean over.
What was that?
That's why I wanted you close, like we were making love. I didn't tell you we had a little trouble in that liquor store job tonight.
Oh. What did you drop in the water?
The gun I killed the guy with.
Oh.
It's 35 feet deep out here off the pier.
So that was why you wanted me to be close to you. To make love to you. So people couldn't see you drop the murder gun.
You're getting bright, aren't you? Come on, we're leaving. Come on.
Just a few minutes.
I said we're leaving. The cops are closing up California tighter than a drum. State police, federal guys, hundreds of them. We're going back to the hideout and figure a way of getting out.
I tell you, Crain, that's this hideout's bad as a cell.
Stop blowing your top, Shaky. You've got to listen to the short wave and hear what the cops are doing.
Police control cars, attention. This is Lloyd Smith, night dispatcher. You're to act upon the orders of Captain C.W. Ellison. Have your guns ready and patrol all highways. The men we are after are killers.
Yeah, they don't know where to look.
Deputy Sheriffs Thompson, Rayner, Murphy. Proceed to cobblestone cabins with riot guns and tear gas bombs.
They're under our cabin hideout. We can't beat it for there.
Crain, I can't take it. We're like rats in a trap. Who's that? I'll tell you how to...
Tell me, Juanita.
What's the latest police report?
You got us trapped in, all right.
It's your fault, Juanita. We're in this jam.
Shut up, will you, Shaky? Juanita, I saw that box you had the sleeping pills in the doctor gave you. It was on a washbowl.
Yes.
It was empty.
Yes, the doctor said they'd be good for my nerves.
All of them at one time?
Yes, that's the way I was supposed to take them.
Huh.
They were all different kinds, and I had to take them all together for them to do any good.
KQBV, KQBV.
Hey, it's a secret code. They're going to ring.
KQBV. Answer your call letters, please. KQBV.
Those are just the call letters of the police radio.
It's like we were rats being trapped.
I think I know how to help you, boy.
You think you know that?
Not enough of you, Juanita.
I think I can call the cops off you.
What do you mean?
You and Shaky get in the car and start driving towards San Fernando. 15 minutes after you've left, I'll call the cops and tell them there's been a killing on the other side of town. I'll describe you two, and all the cops will go racing in the wrong direction.
Yeah? Yeah?
What are you willing to do that for? If you stay here, you'll get caught.
I can slip through alone and meet you next week.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's the best idea we got, sure. Wait a minute. How come you're willing to take this chance, Juanita?
Crain is my boyfriend. Aren't you, Crain?
Sure, baby, sure. You know I love you.
Then why shouldn't I take a chance?
Come on, Shaky. We gotta get going.
Yeah.
I'll sit down here by the telephone, and in 15 minutes I'll call the cops.
Hey, I'm getting sleepy, are you, kid?
No, I'm not getting sleepy, Crain.
Okay. Well, we're leaving. Good luck.
You want to give me a kiss before you go, Crain?
None of that stuff now, kid. The time's too short.
Yes, the time's too short.
Come on, Shaky, get going. We'll be seeing you, Juanita.
Yes. I'll be seeing you.
Will you pass that car in front of us, Crain? We've been trailing at 20 miles.
It's doing 40, Shaky. I don't want to take a chance of being picked up for speeding.
No cop's going to take me out, blow my brains out first.
Cars 47 and 2.
That's state police.
Be ready for instructions.
You suppose the cops will get Juanita back there?
Yeah, they will. She can't tell nothing.
Yeah, should have pumped her full of lead weeks ago.
Attention.
Attention all police.
Is there anybody living but police?
The body of a girl has just been found in a house on the outskirts of Long Beach.
Juanita, she's dead.
This girl was sitting by the telephone. Death was due to the overdose of sleeping tablets.
Juanita's dead, and she's here, in the air.
Examination of the house leaves no doubt, but it was occupied by the gunman. Cartridges were found, and fingerprints of Shaky O'Leary.
And it's me.
And the prints of William Harlan Crain. That is all.
Crain, she's dead. Stop shaking. Yeah. She knows how we wanted to kill her. She's laughing at us. Sure, that's what she's doing. She's laughing at us.
42, calling headquarters.
That sounds awful loud.
I'm getting you, 42.
I'm proceeding 40 miles an hour along Highway 19.
Where we are, Crain.
We're directly back of killer's car. Car 29 directly in front of them. We have them hemmed in.
Crain, there is another car right in back of us. Break out that back window and use your shotgun. Shoot to kill him. Go on, shoot some more. I couldn't hold the shotgun. It dropped out the back window. You stupid fool. Start shooting with your rod, then. There's a roadblock up ahead. Now we are caught.
All right, you men. Now that's all your hands up.
Yeah. We're coming. We're coming. Don't shoot, Copper. Don't shoot. Here's my rod.
So you're a Crain, huh? And the fellow doing the shakes must be O'Leary.
I said, don't shoot, Copper. I'm all in.
Fight's all out of you, eh, Crain?
Yeah.
Come on, get going. There's a couple of cells reserved for the both of you. Back in San Quentin.
And that, Commissioner Valentine, is the factual case history of William Harlan Crain, Shaky O'Leary, and the beautiful Juanita Hanson. O'Leary was sentenced to life imprisonment. Tonight, Crain is in a cell, alone, sitting, thinking, listening to the clock ticking away the minutes before he is to be led into the gas chamber to his death.
Thank you, Sheriff Fiscally. All of us who listen to this case must realize again that crime does not pay.
Commissioner, before broadcasting our last-minute police bulletins on persons wanted tonight, I'd like to say a word to Sheriff Biscay-Lewis. Sheriff Biscay-Lewis, it's a pleasure at this time to thank you and your fellow police officers for your splendid work as illustrated by tonight's case. In recognition of your courage and devotion to duty, Sheriff, please accept this Waterman's Deluxe pen and pencil gift set with your name engraved on the gold cap.
Why, thank you, Mr. Gardner. That's a present I'll certainly be using for a long time to come.
Now, to our radio listeners, we'd like to make a suggestion. Before you buy a fountain pen at any price, consider carefully its features. Does it have a hand-ground 14-karat gold point that exactly suits your writing style? Waterman's does. Then how does the ink feed compare with Waterman's exclusive Inqueduct feed? Is it marvelously responsive to every writing need? Well, Waterman's is. And what about filling? Is there bother with plungers or pumping instead of Waterman's remarkably simple and easy one-stroke filling? You see, it's the quality that's built into every part of a Waterman's pen which provides so many extra advantages, so much long-lasting satisfaction, which makes it a pen you're always proud to own. Remember, too, it was Waterman's who invented the first practical fountain pen more than 60 years ago. Throughout the world, millions of satisfied users will tell you, for finest pen performance, just look for the name Waterman. And now, Gangbusters nationwide clues. Richard H. Key, warden of out-of-state prison, wires Gangbusters that 3 convicts have escaped by overpowering a guard and making their getaway in a prison truck. The escaped convicts are described as
Leo Young, 23, 5 feet 8 inches, 160 pounds, red hair, hazel eyes, medium build, tattoo, word Leo, left forearm. Word Leo, left forearm. Escape, Earl Russo, 31, 5 feet 11 inches, 157 pounds, brown hair, light hazel eyes, 2 scars, left side of face, scar back of neck. Escaped, William Russo, brother of Earl Russo, 33, 5 feet 10 inches,
152 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes, walks awkwardly.
Watch for Leo Young, Earl Russo, and William Russo. Escape Nevada State Prison. If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. Now, here's Commissioner Valentine to tell you about next week's case.
Our case next week concerns a magician of the prison cells, a gangster who laughs at steel locks, electric eyes, and listening devices.
For the thrilling, authentic case history of this magician of the prison cells, listen next week, same time, same station, to Gangbusters. And anytime, anywhere, when you were buying a fountain pen or when you're buying ink, just look for the name Waterman. Gangbusters Factual Case Histories is a Phillips H. Lord production. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the spirit that pioneered America. Entitled Yellowstone Kelly, the story of the soldier, hunter, Army scout, Luther Sage Kelly, who helped blaze the trails into Wyoming. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, young man, if you're interested in continuing your education, here is important news for you. The senior service of our armed forces, the United States Army, urgently needs qualified technicians to operate and maintain the many kinds of equipment that science has brought into being. Right now, men are being trained in such varied fields as radio, radar, meteorology, mechanics, electronics, photography, and many, many others. This training is given by the finest technical training schools in the world. It's an excellent opportunity for young men with intelligence and ambition. It can be the start of a great career for you. For full details, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting stations. Do it today. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, Yellowstone Kelly.
Chuck, ain't you game? Don't you want to?
It's lying, Luther, no matter what you say.
It ain't really lying, Chuck. At least it won't do anyone any harm.
But what if we get caught, Lou? You know, they could put us in jail.
Well, I'll have to lie the most. Can't you lie just a little?
Yeah. You go in first. I'll wait for you here.
Chuck, lying's only wrong when it hurts someone. What we're going to tell them can't even hurt ourselves.
Just as I said, Luther, you go first. If you make it, I'll give it a try.
Well, if that's the way you feel, I don't...
So what, Luther?
I don't care if you never come in.
You get mad, Luther? Mad at me?
Chuck, I think your tongue is stronger than your spine. All you need's a little backbone.
You're still lying, Luther.
I know. You think it's wrong.
Well, not very wrong, Luther, at least the way you explain it.
Ain't got all day, Chuck. Thought we agreed on this last night.
Well, if you don't get caught, Luther, I'll come in right after you.
How soon right after?
After everything... Well, I mean, after you tell them your story, and if they believe it.
Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes.
I'll be there.
Because you promised me. And it's better you lie to them than to lie to me.
No matter what I do, I'll be lying to someone.
Young man, what can I do for you?
Go.
Well, it's not as easy as all that. This morning, too, there's questions to be considered.
I reckon I can answer them.
Bring that chair up to the desk now. Get out the papers. Name?
Kelly.
Full name?
Luther S. The S is for sage.
You folks think you'd be a wise man to guess for a middle name?
It was my mother's name before she wed.
And where do you live?
Lima, New York.
Born where?
Geneva, New York.
Yeah.
Geneva, New York.
That's where. You answered that. Can you tell me when?
July 27th. I'm old enough to be a soldier sergeant.
You calling me a sergeant won't make me one. I'm a corporal at 2 stripes, you know. You forgot to give me the year of your birth.
Why is it so important? I'm healthy and I'm strong.
What's the year? It's important.
1849. Yeah, that's it. 1849.
49 to 65. And, a boy? You're not old enough yet.
Maybe it was 48. Yeah, that's it. It could have been 47. 47. Would 1847 make me old enough?
49's right, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He's a friend of mine.
You in yet, Luther?
In 10 minutes. Chuck, you should have waited. Corporal was just telling me that I'm...
Too young. 16's too young.
But Luther, you said...
That I'd lie about my age.
And you didn't?
Wouldn't have done much good, Kelly. We'd have found out sometime.
What do we do now, Luther?
Wait a year. Then if your folks say it's all right, you can join when you're 17.
I'll be back then. I'll be back with us.
You were going to lie about your age.
Couldn't lie, Chuck. When I got in there...
But the lie wouldn't hurt anyone, Luther.
Nobody but me, Chuck, and...
But you said last night...
I know. But I got to thinking, Chuck, if a man will lie, he'll steal. And if he'll steal, he'll go on to other things.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I'll come back next year with you, Luther. I'm certain my folks will say all right, too.
Is that you, Luther?
It's me, Mom. I forgot the lock stuck in the back door.
Well, why are you so out of breath, Luther? Been in a fight with your friend Chuck?
Oh, no, me and Chuck ain't fighting anymore. Leastways, not one another.
Well, son, when you get your breath, tell me why you're so excited.
Mom, next year...
Whatever it is for next year, Luther, can wait until next year.
Mom, next year will you let me be a soldier? The corporal said I could be with your permission.
So that's why you're so excited. Next year you may have other ideas, Luther Sage Kelly. So until
you
then...
may forget it, Mom, but I won't. No, Mom, I won't forget it.
Luther Kelly didn't forget it. He came back to see the corporal a year later with his mother's permission, allowing that he could be a soldier. It was March of 1865 when Luther took his basic training on Governor's Island in New York Harbor as a private in Company G of the 10th Infantry Regiment. He soldiered the winter at Fort Ripley, Minnesota, and in the spring of 1866 was promoted to corporal and assigned to Fort Wadsworth in the Dakota Territory, when...
Corporal Kelly, I sent for you because I have a job that I feel you can do perhaps better than any other soldier in camp.
Thank you, Captain. I can only do my best. What is it, sir?
Our rations are getting low. If we're to replenish, a mule train has to get through to Sauk Center.
I'm not a mule driver, Captain.
I know, Kelly, I know. We have other drivers.
And what'll I...
Kelly, you've been pretty good as a scout in this territory. I want you to...
Yes, Captain?
To lead a mule train back to Minnesota.
But a scout...
Now, the river is overflowed its banks, so you'll have to find a new trail, because the regular one is underwater.
Well, can't we drive the train sort of parallel to the old route?
No, Kelly. The bridge is washed out at the main junction. You never get the teams across.
I think we can go west a little and then backtrack east enough to get around the floods.
Mm-hmm. Now, you'll have 3 wagons with drivers. You can start early tomorrow morning.
Captain...
Corporal, the instructions were clear.
Captain, if it's all right with you, I just as soon start right. We can get 10 miles before sundown.
I like that spirit, Corporal. Leave when you're ready. The wagons are loaded with some food and extra blankets.
Whoa there! Whoa there, boy!
We're not stopping here, so why hold the mules?
Something's wrong with the harness on the left side.
Well, we got a repair kit, haven't we? I remember checking it off of my list before we started.
Yeah, we got a kit, and I guess we better fix it before we go any further. Oh, there! How you?
Thanks to stop these mules?
They're not only slow starters, they're slow stoppers as well. Whoa!
Can you fix it before the other wagons get caught up to it?
Let me look and see. This can't be fixed.
Whoa, we got spare straps, haven't we?
Corporal Kelly, we used the last 2 spares yesterday.
My job is to fix the trail. Yours is to keep this wagon rolling.
I know.
Wait a minute. Maybe this cowhide out of my boot will hold the straps together till we reach the center. Here. Yeah. After all, we've only got another 2 days traveling to go.
We can get harness leather at Sauk Center. I'm worried. That part of the harness gets most of the pull.
We're both worried, driver, but we got a chance at... Come on, let's get aboard.
Yeah, you hear me? Yeah!
They don't take much stock in your command.
Now listen, you long-eared, velvet-coated nags. Get a move on. Yeah!
That's right. They sure are slow starters, like you said.
Corporal, that was a strong pull. One of the cowhide loops just snapped.
How many loops did you make?
I made a dozen, all separate, so if one going bad won't mean too much harm. Yeah!
Better cut left of that pine knoll and keep her on as high ground as you can. The rims are sinking in the mud already.
Listen.
I don't hear nothing.
I think another loop just snapped.
Well, maybe if we make a cross pine over the other loop.
That might help. Let's try it. Whoa! Wow!
Your mules obeyed for once.
Tell them know what to expect of them. Here, you lock the brake and I'll bind this belt over the loop.
Hey, what about your pants if you use your
Well,
butt?
I've been eating too much and his pants fit extra tight anyway. They'll stay put.
We gotta make up lost time. We're going to reach Sauk Center tomorrow.
And with the help of the belt from my pants and the cowhide lacings from your boots, we'll make it.
Well, sure am glad that trip is over.
You mean half the trip? We've still got to return.
Well, that'll be easier because the trails are drying up fast.
Yeah. So at Sauk Center, we bigger than this. Just a handful of buildings.
Well, size don't interest me as long as our rations are here. I'll check in at the store, and you and the other men pull the wagon to the rear loading platform.
I guess you mean one at a time. That store won't have 3 loading platforms.
Yeah, any way you say. Just load the stuff as fast as you can.
Fast as we can?
Yep. We want to start back to Wadsworth tonight.
Me and the other men were kind of figuring on an evening's entertainment
This
before...
town's too small for all of us. We'll do better after we get home.
No chance of some time out after we load? We can get an early start in the morning.
No chance at all.
We'll be well rested.
Oh, no, you won't. No, you won't. Not after one of your nights out. Come on now. We got along all right so far. Let's get the job done, and then we'll have us a time.
Guess I can't win you over, Kelly. Oh, by the way, don't forget the harness piece you were going to get.
I won't. You get the wagons loaded while I check off the grub list for the storekeep. I'll take care of the harness strap.
While you're in the store, I'll pull around back. Don't forget the strap.
I won't. We got here by the grace of a pair of cowhide bootlaces.
And don't forget them mules.
You mean the slow starters and the slow stoppers.
Yeah. You know, it's a funny thing. Mules is a lot like people. Some people.
And what would you be meaning by that?
Well, you take that off mule there now. Generally, he's got one of the sweetest dispositions of going. What you might say, a real nice fella.
Cool.
And then, for no good reason, he'll get an idea in his head. Plant them front feet, bow his neck, and stand as steady as a rock. I can talk my fool head off, and he just stands. You might say he make me do his bidding.
That's a mighty lot of talk about a mule. And if I've been adding up correctly, you figure that off mule should be rightly named Kelly.
I didn't say no such thing, but being you're in a palavering mood, well, can it be that you've seen the error of your ways?
Mister, get yourself down off that wagon. Now, we've been through some trying times on this trip. But if you think for 1 minute I'm going to let a mule skinner take over the reins... Now get that wagon around to the loading dock and use a little muscle on them supplies. You're going to be ready to roll in an hour.
Yes, sir.
And fellas, keep an eye on that off mule.
You are listening to the proudly we hail production Yellowstone Kelly. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. Among the proudest men in uniform today are the soldiers of the Army's Airborne Service. Their exploits are once again making history, and their prowess in battle is earning them new fame. Right now, the Army is accepting applications for direct assignment to the Airborne from men who voluntarily enlist. It's an opportunity to associate with a top-notch group of men in an outfit that's second to none. Young men, if you'd like to find out more about qualifying for the Airborne, why don't you visit your local Army and Air Force recruiting station? Learn how you can enlist directly for service in this exciting outfit, whose paratroopers are the envy of all servicemen. The recruiting sergeant will give you full information. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of Yellowstone Kelly. Luther Sage Kelly was an old soldier before the age of 20, for he already had a 3-year hitch under his belt. He wanted to explore more of America's undeveloped territory, so he started out after his discharge to have a look at the upper areas of the Missouri River. With what training he had in service, he felt himself ready to be a scout when...
There must be someone who can do it. Major Sawyer, for weeks I've been trying to get mail toted from Fort Peck. Look, it's piling up, and some of it must be important.
Lieutenant, I'm not as interested in the quantity or its importance as I am...
Yes, Major?
As I am in who killed the last 2 mail riders.
Well, can't we send soldiers with the mail this time?
No. Our orders are to hire civilian scouts.
We need our own men here at Duford, just in case. Well, after the last two riders were scalped clean on a whistle, we may have trouble finding anybody else for the job. Yeah, there must be one in this region who knows the route and who can outwit Indians with killing ideas. For 3 days, we tried to locate one, but... Lieutenant, I have an idea. It might work. In fact, he might be crazy enough to want to try it. You know someone, Major? No, I don't know him, but I heard of him a couple of times. A fellow named Kelly. Captain Prescott at Fort Wadsworth. Met him a week ago when he came here to replenish his ammunition. What about Kelly? Prescott said he was a soldier, out of service now. A humdinger when it come to leading ration trains across unmapped regions. And that Kelly was staying in this area doing some scouting along the Missouri. Well, if he worked his way down the Duford, should we latch on to him for the job? Yeah, we can ask him. The most he can say is no. You seem to think that he'll say yes. I got a hunch he will. Prescott said this man Kelly would make a darn good scout with a little more Indian experience. Well, if it's experience he needs, this will be to his calling. All right, I'll have him report to you if he comes to the fort.
Rufus, something's wrong. I think
Yeah. I hear something, too. Sound.
Don't say it. Not loud, anyway.
Rufus, I think it's Indians.
He's sneaking up on us. Why in blazes did he yell?
You figure it, Lou. I never could understand an Indian.
We better dismount and hide the horses, Rufus. I don't like the looks of this.
The looks? Why, man, we can't see 20 feet. It's so dark.
Anyway, let's hide the horses in the clump of birches over there. Maybe this Indian isn't alone. Easy there, boy. Easy there. Easy does it. Come on, boy.
Hey, Kelly, I got a sense.
We better walk back to back. At least stand that way, because if we don't...
There are more of them, Luther. That arrow came from the north. Looks like the Indian we heard was decoying for his friend.
Indians may travel alone or in groups, but hardly ever in pairs. That means...
Maybe we're surrounded and don't know it.
They sound good hitting trees, Rufus. Ever get shot with an arrow? Ain't a nice way to die.
We've got to make a break for it, Luther, before they circle us too tight. You got any ideas?
Just one. Been saving it for last, because it's the only one I have.
Yeah. I'll fight as long as you will, Luther. We can fight our way out of this. I hope.
We can't fight through them if they're half a trying. But we can outsmart them. At least we can try.
Scouting's one thing, Luther, but matching wits with you don't know how many Indians is another thing.
Unleash the horses, Rufus, and give them a good slap in the shank. Make them run toward that saddle valley between those two hills.
Without horses, Luther, we'll be in a pretty pickle.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, whatever it is, we'll be in it for sure without horses.
Now, you loosen, but get the map back before you do.
They're gone, Luther. Mighty quiet. You got any more ideas?
Listen, hear that?
Hear what?
Listen, those bushes cracking.
Yeah, now I do.
Our troubles are over.
Over? You mean over?
Sure. These Indians out here are mighty short of horses. They're not after us as much as after our animals. Come on, Rube. Long walk to Fort Buford. Especially with these mail sacks.
Kelly got back to Buford all right and made his report to Major Sawyer. Carrying mail and losing horses wasn't exactly what Luther Sage Kelly had in mind when he once boasted that someday he'd be the best darn Army scout in the Yellowstone region. A couple of winters found him hunting and trapping along the Milk River in Montana, and in the seasons in between he explored the Yellowstone River. Its every crook and cranny would be remembered by the former corporal. His woodsman fame continued to spread until General George Forsyth asked him to scout the Missouri and Yellowstone River regions for the Army during the war with the Sioux.
east with the Indians sent Kelly back to his hunting and trapping when in 1876.
Hey, Kelly, I hear General Miles is looking for someone to be a scout.
I'm not too interested right now, Smitty. We're out to bear this trip.
Yeah, I know, but
I thought
you'd
not
be...
interested, the word. Come on, let's get a trot going.
Miles has a good reputation in these parts.
Look, Smitty, let's get the bear and forget the scouting just for a while.
You know, General Miles has had scouts before. This time he wants a new one. A real tough one who can fight as well as scout.
I'm for fighting a bear with this rifle and for fighting no one else.
You being a soldier once could hit it off real good at General Miles.
Still not interested, Smitty. I'm after bear.
Well, Miles ain't interested in no weakling. I hear he wants a scout who can lick a bear.
Hold it, Smitty. I think...
You see something?
I think we got a bear. 100 yards northeast. See that covey of partridge on the wing? Something much scared of to make them rise like that.
Well, shall we leave the horses here?
Yeah, might as well. Old Bruin might smell them before he smells us. Now, if we spread apart, we can close in better on the old boy.
You still think it's a bear?
I know it is. In fact, I can see him now. Hold up a minute.
Did you get him, Kelly?
I allowed one bullet for him. Come on.
He's a beaut. Lots of meat and lots of hide.
You can have it all.
Well, you wanted it, Kelly. Besides, what'll I do with meat and the bear skin?
I'll take the left front paw. You can give the meat to that family of settlers we passed yesterday.
The skin will make a good blanket.
No, it won't. At least not for outdoors. It's too heavy when it gets wet.
Shall we dress him here?
No, let's make a sled and drag him to the settlers. First, I'm taking the paw.
He's heavier than I thought.
Look at that paw. It's a foot across the open palm.
Oh, what you gonna do with it, Kelly? It ain't eatable.
Not for me, Smitty. You'll take it.
I'll take that.
General Miles. As soon as I get through.
Well, Miles won't want a bear's paw, Kelly.
He'll like this one, I bet.
Besides being a foot across, how's it different from any other?
Oh, this one will be different. Sort of a calling card. Personally engraved with my name. Give me your knife. Its point is sharper than mine.
General Nelson Miles was mighty impressed by this unique card, the bear's paw on which was carved the name of Luther Kelly. Miles hired Kelly and made him Chief Army Scout for the District of Yellowstone. It was the pinnacle, but not the end, of a career that started when Luther Kelly couldn't lie about his age. When close to 50 years old, Kelly went to Alaska to explore the region for a railroad for the Army. Nobody called him Fairbanks. In the Spanish-American War, he was a captain of volunteers in the Philippines, but nobody called him Manila. To the day he died in Paradise, California in 1928, it was always Yellowstone Kelly. Young men, when you volunteer for service in the United States Army today, you can rest assured that your best talents and natural skills will be considered in giving you an assignment to your liking. Yes, today's modern Army fits the right men to the right jobs, and real merit is recognized with faster promotions and more opportunities. Now, more than ever before, men with above-average ability are finding better jobs and more important assignments in the U.S. Army. Why not investigate an Army enlistment for yourself today and find out just what you stand to gain? Full information is available at your nearest U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting station. has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Well, once again, it's time to keep that weekly appointment with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell. Draw up your chair and settle down.
Thank you.
That's it.
All ready with tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure, Dr.
Yes,
Watson?
Bill. And as I was going over my notes on the case, I came across this. I think it might interest you.
Well, what is it? It looks like an ordinary piece of clay.
It is clay, but I assure you it's very far from ordinary. This piece of dried earth enabled Sherlock Holmes to solve one of the most diabolical murders that we ever encountered. I call the case The Singular Affair of the Babbling Butler.
I can hardly wait to hear the story.
I'm sure that you'll wait long enough to have a word with our listeners now, won't you, Mr. Bell?
Yes, Dr. Watson, but it won't take me a moment. In a recent poll, women picked the 10 best-dressed men in America. These men were all men at the top: statesmen, governors, movie stars, producers, and millionaires. And I know you'll be interested in hearing how a recent survey showed that Kreml Hair Tonic is preferred among America's top-flight executives and most successful men. But why shouldn't Kreml be? Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This is why Kreml gives a man's hair such a natural, well-groomed look, such a handsome, clean-cut appearance. Kreml also keeps hair neatly in place longer, with an attractive, healthy-looking luster. Yet it never leaves hair looking or feeling greasy, sticky, or dirty. After you apply Kreml, you can rub your hand over your hair, and your hair feels so delightfully clean. Notice how no greasy film comes off on your hand or on your hatband. Just use a little Kreml in the morning, and at night your hair looks as neatly groomed as when you combed it in the morning. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the singular affair of the Babbling Butler?
Well, that adventure began on a November evening many years ago. For 4 days, a dense yellow fog had virtually marooned Holmes and me in our Baker Street lodgings. The first day, the great man had spent in cross-indexing his huge book of references. The second and third had been patiently occupied upon a subject which he had recently made his hobby, the music of the Middle Ages. But when on the fourth day we still saw the heavy brown swirl drifting past us and condensing in oily drops upon the window panes, my old friend's active and impatient nature began to assert itself. He started to pace restlessly about our room in a fever of suppressed energy.
Confound this fog.
Oh, do stop pacing up and down, Holmes. No good getting angry with the weather. That's one problem even you can't do anything about.
It isn't the weather, Watson. It's the infernal dullness of the London criminal these days. Come over here to the window.
Oh? What is it, Holmes?
Look out there. See how the figures loom up, are dimly seen, and then blend once more into the fog. What a night for a thief, for a murderer, Watson. He could roam London as a tiger does the jungle, unseen until he pounces. It's fortunate for this community that I'm not a criminal.
Yes, it is indeed.
Suppose that I were Brooks, or Woodhouse, or any of the 50 men who have good reason for taking my life. How long could I survive against my own pursuit? A summons, a bogus appointment, and all would be over.
What a depressing thought.
The only thing that depresses me is inactivity. Why doesn't something happen? Why doesn't someone come to me with a problem?
It sounds as if your prayer's been answered.
I hope so. See who it is, Watson, will you? It'll save Mrs. Hudson a trip.
Yes, of course. It's all right, Mrs. Hudson. Ask the gentleman to come up, please. This way up, sir. You wish to see Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, sir, I do.
Then come along in. My name's Watson, Dr. Watson, and this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Holmes? Dr. Watson. My name is Jenkins. I'm butler to Sir Roderick Martin.
Sir Roderick Martin? Indeed. Sit down, Jenkins.
No, thank you, sir.
Sir Roderick Martin, isn't he the theatrical producer?
Yes, Watson. And he is quite famous in his own circle for his cynicism and a certain mordant wit. Your master needs my services, I presume, Jenkins?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, he does. He's in desperate trouble, and he'd like you to come over to his house at once,
Well,
sir.
what kind of trouble is he in?
Oh, please don't ask any questions, sir. Just come to the house and see for yourselves.
I've long wanted to meet Sir Roderick. I believe it was he who gave currency to that pun. Though he might be more humble, there's no police like Holmes.
That's rather funny. No police like Holmes.
I'm glad it amuses you, Watson.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm for you to come with. Please, gentlemen, come with me.
Whatever your master's problems may be, I think I would enjoy a discussion with him. Perhaps on the topic of humility. Yes, Jenkins, we'll accompany you at once.
This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, sir.
How do you do, Sir Roderick?
How do you do?
Jenkins. Oh, how very odd. Now, why should Jenkins make such a meteoric exit?
I presume, Sir Roderick, he wished to leave us alone.
Indeed, what a singularly depressing thought.
Well, sir, now that he's gone, you can talk quite freely.
My dear Dr. Watson, I've been in the habit of talking freely ever since I had the pleasure of insulting my nurse at the age of 4. She was a peculiarly revolting female by the name of Pearl. After 44 years, I still can't think of a more inappropriate name for her.
Sir Roderick, your childhood reminiscences are fascinating. But supposing we get down to business.
Very well, Holmes. To what do I owe well, for lack of a better word, the pleasure of this visit?
Your butler came to fetch us.
He said that you were in desperate trouble and needed our help.
Jenkins told you that. I can only assume that he stole more than his usual quota of brandy today. I've noticed in the past that alcohol seems to give him the quaintest illusions.
Then you don't wish to consult me professionally?
No, Holmes, I don't. Nor do I wish the services of a doctor. Therefore, I suggest you both retire and ask Jenkins for your hats and an explanation. Good evening, gentlemen.
It's one of his stupid jokes, Holmes. The bounders try to make a fool of you.
I think not, Watson. It'd be a singularly pointless joke, and far below his standard. No, I believe there's some other game afoot. Though Sir Roderick dismissed us somewhat unceremoniously, I think we may still be reasonably certain of a welcome in the servants' quarters.
You're going to talk to the butler?
Yes, Watson. I'm certain he's neither been drinking nor suffering from delusions. I'm convinced that the man is in mortal terror of his life.
Thank heavens you came to see me, Mr. Holmes.
How could we resist it when Sir Roderick told us that your entire story was a lie?
Oh, you must forgive me, gentlemen. I was desperate with fear, and I had to attract your attention.
But why? You've accomplished your purpose now. You've thoroughly roused my curiosity. But I repeat, why?
Because I'm in terror of my life, sir. Someone's trying to murder me.
Well, what reason have you for saying that, Jenkins?
Last night an attempt was made to kill me.
Oh? Please describe the circumstances.
Well, sir, I was carrying a keg of wine down into the cellar. It slipped from my arms and hit the stairs, and then the stairs collapsed. When I examined them, I found that they'd been sawed almost through.
I assume that you're the only member of the household who ever visits the wine cellar?
Yes, sir. That was a deliberate trap to break my neck. Oh, if I'd stepped down, it would have been the end of me. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm only a servant. I couldn't pay you much.
No, my dear Jenkins, I assure you that Mr. Holmes is as interested in preventing the murder of a servant as he is in saving the life of a prime minister.
Jenkins, have you any idea who might want to kill you?
There's only one person on earth with a motive for killing me, sir. And that's my master.
Sir Roderick Martin. Oh, come, my dear man. You're surely mistaken.
What reason do you have for suspecting him?
Oh, it's this way, Mr. Holmes. A year ago, a certain lady killed herself when Sir Roderick jilted her. Well, the affair was all hushed up, and nobody knew Sir Roderick was even involved. But her brother swore to avenge her death. That brother is a very close friend of Sir Roderick's, but has never suspected him.
Complicated situation, eh, Holmes?
Yes, Watson. I take it, Jenkins, you are the only person who knows that your master was guilty?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if I were dead, his secret would be safe. Oh, Mr. Holmes, please, what can I do? I know he's planning my death. You've got to save me, sir.
Jenkins, my advice is this. Write a full statement of the circumstances in this case. Sign and seal it and hand it over to me for safekeeping. Inform your master that if anything happens to you, I shall make public the contents of the statement.
That's a very good idea, Holmes.
I'll do that, sir. I'll do that. I'll bring it to you in the morning.
Splendid. Come on, Watson. Oh, by the way, Jenkins, what's the name of your doctor?
Doctor, sir. I never said that.
You never said what?
Oh, yes, doctor. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dr. David Stanley in Wimpole Street.
Dr. David Stanley. I see. Well, good night, Jenkins. We shall expect you in the morning.
But why are we going to see Dr. Stanley?
Firstly, because I want his physician's opinion as to whether Jenkins might be suffering from hysterical delusion.
Well, as a doctor myself, I say that's more likely. I must say his actions tonight hardly seem the behavior of a sane man.
When a man is badly frightened, Watson, it's sometimes hard to judge his actions by more rational standards. Incidentally, did you notice the way he started when I asked him the name of his doctor? Almost certainly, Dr. David Stanley is the vengeful killer.
By George, now that you mention it, I do remember hearing some gossip in Harley Street about Stanley's sister killing herself. But nobody seemed to know the motive.
Here's the house, Watson.
Well, let's hope the doctor's at home.
If he isn't, we haven't come very far out of our way.
Want me to wait for you, Governor?
No, thank you, cabby. Here you are.
Thank you, Governor. Giddy up.
I can hear a piano playing. Someone is at home.
That seems an eminently logical deduction.
There's no need to be funny, Holmes.
Good evening.
My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do? I'm Mrs. Stanley.
We wondered if we might have a few words with your husband.
With David? Well, come in, won't you, gentlemen? Mr. Holmes, you're a detective, aren't you?
Yes, Mrs. Stanley.
I hope you haven't come here to talk to David about his sister's death.
Not directly, madam. Though my mission is not unconnected with that tragedy.
Then I can't let you see.
Well, really, Mrs. Stanley, my friend only wishes
No, gentlemen. For the sake of his sanity, I daren't let you talk to him. Ever since his sister died, he's been like a soul tormented. Spends most of his time in there playing those frightening compositions of his on the piano. I can't let him be subjected to any more questioning about his sister. Even I daren't mention her.
Sylvia, I've heard voices. Who are these gentlemen?
It's Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, dear.
How do you do, Dr. Stanley?
I hope we're not intruding, sir.
The great Sherlock Holmes and his friend Dr. Watson intruding? Well, of course not. I'm flattered. Come in, gentlemen.
Please don't say anything about his sister's death.
Don't worry, Mrs. Stanley. We won't.
No, of course not.
Holmes, I believe you're something of a musician. I'd like your opinion of this.
David, dear, they haven't come here to listen to you.
I don't care what they came here for. This is what they're going to hear. Well, how'd you like it?
A strange, savage melody, Dr. Stanley.
Yes, indeed, sir. Rather depressing, if you don't mind me saying so.
No, why shouldn't it be? When it's finished, I call it Threnody for a Dead Sister. That's what you've come to see me about, isn't it, Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
No, David, dear, you mustn't...
Sylvia, I should prefer that you leave us alone.
But, David...
I said alone, Sylvia.
Very well.
Sylvia's a girl who can't face up to facts. But I can. Tell me, Holmes, what have you found out about my sister's death?
Dr. Stanley, I'm afraid you're laboring under misapprehension. I know nothing of your sister. I came here to talk about Jenkins, Sir Roderick Martin's butler.
He told us that you were his physician.
Oh, Jenkins, eh? What do you want to know about him?
Has he been ill recently?
Well, a few months ago, he had a bad attack of enteric fever. Why'd you ask?
Enteric sometimes leaves bad after effects. Would you say, Doctor, that Jenkins has suffered no lasting damage? Hallucinations, for instance?
No, at the time he was out of his head for a while, but I'd say he's perfectly sound now.
Thank you, Dr. Stanley. That's all we wanted to know.
You mean to say that you came here simply to find out about the state of Jenkins' sanity?
Just that, sir. Good evening.
Good night, Dr. Stanley.
I think you had something else on your mind before you talked to Sylvia.
Jenkins may be sane, but that man's on the edge of a mental collapse if I ever saw one.
I quite agree, Watson. Mrs. Stanley seems to have gone upstairs. I think we've let ourselves out.
Well, Holmes, that was rather a fruitless trip. We didn't learn much there, except that Jenkins is compos mentis.
I disagree, old chap. We learned a great deal more than that. Tomorrow morning I shall lose no time in calling on Sir Roderick again.
That horrible fellow? For heaven's sake, why?
Because he is the focal point in a grim tragedy. Inevitably, either he will kill Jenkins, or Dr. Stanley will kill him.
My dear Holmes, I'm accustomed to facing 2 brown eggs at breakfast. 2 brown eggs lightly boiled, followed by a leisurely perusal of the Times. I see no reason why this day should commence any differently.
Sir Roderick, I've explained to you
You've explained nothing, including your own presumption, Holmes. I can see no cause for your meddling, even if I understood precisely what you were driving at, which I don't.
Well, surely, Sir Roderick, you must see that my friend is trying to protect you.
Dr. Watson, I once had the acute misfortune to read one of your shockingly florid stories.
What?
I can only assume that your gross imagination has infected your daily life.
Since your own safety seems to be a matter of indifference to you, Sir Roderick, I may point out that I know too much if you plan on being a danger yourself.
Holmes, you're impertinent, a quality which is attractive only in a younger person, and of a different sex. What is even more unpardonable, you're boring. Please leave and take this bumbling veterinary surgeon with you.
It's extremely offensive.
Before I leave, I insist on knowing one thing. Where is your butler, Jenkins? A new man opened the door just now.
Jenkins? Oh, yes. I omitted to tell you. Jenkins has left my service.
You discharged him, I suppose?
Not exactly, though it is my invariable rule to discharge any servant found guilty of a crime.
A crime? And what was Jenkins' crime?
He committed suicide.
In just a moment, we shall hear more about this ironic crime of suicide. But first, men, nice-looking, attractive hair means so much to a man's appearance. And one of the first requisites of handsome, healthy-looking hair is a hygienic scalp. So start at once. Take better care of the hair you've got. Change to Kreml Hair Tonic. No other hair tonic keeps the hair more neatly in place without looking or feeling greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Its light oils have a fine lubricating effect on a dry scalp. At the same time, it removes itchy, loose dandruff. Notice how alive, how invigorated your scalp feels. And men, you like to massage Kreml on your scalp because it's such a clean hair tonic. Never feels greasy or sticky. And if your hair is so dry that it breaks and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable, and look as if it had some body to it. So men, for handsome groomed hair and a more hygienic scalp, use Kreml daily. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drugstore. Ask for an application at your barber's. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. That famous modern hair tonic preferred among America's most successful men. Well, Dr. Watson, this story really has me on the edge of my chair. So the butler Jenkins had committed suicide?
Well, that's what Sir Roderick told us, Mr. Bell, although we had great difficulty in persuading him to let us examine the dead man's room. Finally, after Sherlock Holmes had pointed out that if we couldn't handle the case, then Scotland Yard certainly would, we were allowed to visit that room of death. The evidence of suicide was apparent. After a brief examination, Holmes turned to me and said,
What do you make of it, Watson?
obvious signs of strychnine poisoning, Holmes. Quite clearly a suicide.
Yes. The other servants told us that they had to break the door down to get in. It was locked and bolted from the inside.
And your examination proved that there was no sign of the lock having been tampered with.
Precisely. And he drank the poison from this glass here by the bed. Yes, I'd say that there's been nothing in this glass but strychnine and water. Hello. What's this on the carpet?
Looks like a piece of clay.
It is. And it bears the imprint of a heel.
From a man's boot. Look at the size.
And observe the color of the clay, Watson. This particular specimen is quite rare. I shall take it back to Baker Street and examine it.
I can't see any logic in this case, Holmes. After all, people terrified of murder don't go committing suicide.
Patience, old fellow. I'm convinced that this is one case where our little laboratory may aid the solution more than all the logic in the world.
Well, Holmes, what do your tests with a microscope tell you?
First of all, that the glass contained nothing but strychnine and water.
Nobody could drink that without knowing it. That proves that it was suicide.
Not necessarily, Watson. I've also tested the clay. In addition to being a very rare clay, it's oddly impregnated with certain acids and chemicals. Exactly as it might be if a doctor picked it up on his heel outside his house and later went into his laboratory.
A doctor? That would explain the poison.
Exactly. Jenkins was under his doctor's care. Supposing the physician prescribed a draft to be taken on retiring, why question its peculiarly bitter taste? Jenkins was a frightened man. Undoubtedly, he bolted and locked his door last night and then, trustingly, drank the fatal poison.
All of which points to Dr. Stanley.
Quite.
But I don't understand it. He had a motive for murdering Sir Roderick, and Sir Roderick had a motive for murdering Jenkins. But all the evidence points to the fact that Dr. Stanley murdered Jenkins. It doesn't make any sense.
But it does, Watson. Precise, accurate, and terrifying sense. We must return to Sir Roderick's house at once. There's not a moment to be lost.
Holmes, you and your friend here are positively pachydermatous. Twice I've told you to mind your own business, and yet you come back for more insults. Am I to assume that you find my personal charm so utterly irresistible?
On the contrary, sir, you can assume that your personal charm utterly escapes us.
Sir Roderick, the only reason we've returned is because I'm convinced you're in grave danger.
As I told you before, Holmes, I'm eminently capable of taking care of myself. In any case, I'm expecting Dr. Stanley, my physician, here in a few minutes.
Sir Roderick, by all you hold sacred...
I hold nothing sacred, Holmes, save human life. By which, of course, I mean my own.
Then, for the sake of your own life, sir, allow us to slip behind that tapestry while your doctor visits you.
Behind the arras, eh? The proper place for rats, if I remember my Hamlet correctly. Oh, that's undoubtedly the doctor now.
Then please let us hide. You won't regret it, I promise you.
Very well, you may hide. Scurry away.
Come on, Watson.
Right, you're home.
Come in.
Roderick, I had to see you.
Yes, so it would appear. Sylvia, if you have to come making dramatic entrances in my house at an hour that virtually represents the crack of dawn, I do wish you'd take a little more pains with your ensemble.
Roderick,
Your dress is only suitable for tea and crumpets with the vicar's wife at Tooting Bec.
Oh, Roderick, stop trying to be facetious. I came here because I had to talk to you before David got here.
Well, I'm expecting him at any moment.
I know that. You're his closest friend, Roderick. You've got to do something for him. He's ill. He's mentally unbalanced. All he thinks about and talks about and dreams about is Angela. He's even composed a horrible piece of music that he calls...
Sylvia!
David!
What are you doing here?
Everyone's being extraordinarily melodramatic this morning. It's a pity, David, but you have not caught your wife and me in a compromising situation. Chiefly, I admit, because I find her somewhat colorless.
Roderick, how dare you?
I suggest that you leave us, my dear.
You...
I believe the word you're groping for is beast.
You beast!
Roderick, you put up a convincing caricature of being the inhuman man of the world. But if people only knew how you'd stood by me during the past year...
No, David, this has been a most emotional morning. For heaven's sake, don't you become lachrymose.
I'm not. I'm just saying that if you hadn't stood by me since Angela's death, I don't know what I'd have done.
You'd probably been back on your feet long before this, but you came here this morning in your professional capacity, David.
Yes, I know, Roderick. How are you feeling? I don't like your color.
I don't like my symptoms. I can't sleep. My nerves have been more than usually on edge for the past 3 weeks, David. You promised me some medicine, you know.
I brought it with me. It's in my bag here. You have a glass and some water?
Yes, on the sideboard there.
Good. Well, this will steady you up quite a bit. Now, I'll add a little water. So, here you are, Roderick. Drink this.
I wouldn't, Sir Roderick. It won't do much good to the only thing you hold sacred.
Sherlock Holmes, what are you doing here?
Your opening conversation begins to become somewhat monotonous, Dr. Stanley. I'm here because I don't like to see murder committed, even Sir Roderick.
You mean that Dr. Stanley just tried to poison him?
Certainly. Just as he poisoned the butler, Jenkins.
Mr. Holmes, he has no motive.
I tried to protect Jenkins against Sir Roderick. I was stupid enough not to see the other motive at first.
Riddles are fascinating, Holmes, but not when they become personal. What are you talking about?
It's a simple equation, Sir Roderick. Dr. Stanley attended Jenkins during his bout of enteric. He told us himself that the butler was delirious. It was then that he must have learned Jenkins' secret, that Jenkins was the only human being who knew that Sir Roderick was responsible for Angela's suicide. Logically, he had to die first.
But I still don't see that...
Dr. Stanley does, despite his silence. Jenkins was the only human being who knew that Dr. Stanley had a motive for killing Sir Roderick.
This is very melodramatic, Holmes, but I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about.
Nor have I, except that you seem to be laboring under the delusion that I killed Jenkins.
Of course you did. You had to, before you could kill Sir Roderick. Had Jenkins lived, he would have been suspicious of his master's death. But if he were out of the way, no one would have connected Sir Roderick's close friend and physician with his murder. The cellar stairs attempt failed. But last night's poison did not.
And now he's trying to repeat the pattern. The glass over there contains strychnine and water.
Of course it does.
I assure you, this medicine is perfectly harmless. To prove it, I shall drink it myself.
Stop him, Watson.
Put that down. Put it down, I say. It's too late.
That was meant for you, Roderick. It was too good for you. Considering the way you treated my sister Angela.
He's dead, Holmes.
Yes. And you, Sir Roderick, have escaped a brother's vengeance. I'm almost sorry that I insisted on trying to save your wretched life.
Well, just because you have saved it, don't expect anything as conventional as thanks or remorse. My only regret is that during the past few minutes you've enjoyed an experience granted to very few men on this earth.
And what is that, may I ask?
You have seen me speechless.
In just a moment, Dr. Watson will be back to tell us about next week's story. Ladies, here's some very important beauty advice from some of the world's most divinely beautiful women, Powers models. Girls who are famous for their shining, bright, lustrous hair.
Powers models wash their hair with Kreml shampoo. This amazingly beautifying shampoo has been especially developed to actually glamour bathe each tiny strand of hair so that it fairly radiates natural, dazzling highlights. Kreml shampoo leaves the hair simply abundant with natural glossy luster. And what's more, your hair stays this way for days.
And doesn't Kreml shampoo do a wonderful cleaning job on your scalp? Removes all loose dandruff as well as the dirt.
Yes, and it's wonderful to soften dry, brittle ends. Kreml shampoo leaves your hair so much softer, silkier, with a satin smoothness. Your hair holds a wave better, too.
So, ladies, buy a bottle of glamorizing Kreml shampoo at any drug counter and see how easy it is to glamour bathe your hair to a vision of beauty. How easy it is now to have naturally lustrous, glossy hair. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. And now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, I think I'll tell you about the greatest shock that Sherlock Holmes ever gave me.
Well, that must have been quite a shock, Dr. Watson.
It was, Mr. Bell. I call it The Adventure of the Dying Detective.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Bruce Partington Plan. The music was composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures, Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the dying detective. ABC, the American broadcast.
Crime does not pay.
Gentlemen, I think the man's dangerous.
Politicians make big promises. Period. Usually.
Hey, look, what are you two guys worried about?
Obviously, Nifty, if this man becomes the new district attorney, there's every reason to believe he'll go through with his attempt to clean up the town.
And obviously, we shall have to pull in our horns for a while.
Cut it. I knew you lugs before you started using half-dollar words. Before you worried about politics.
What's your suggestion, Nifty?
There's nothing in this world a lead slug won't take care of.
You're nuts, Nifty.
That's what you think. Me, I still figure like in the old days. A bum gets in your way, mow the man down.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Mow the Man Down, starring Ward Wilson. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Ward Wilson as Nifty Varden in Mow the Man Down. Some men seem born to crime. They move into a life of violence from all kinds of environments, and they thrive in the jungles of the underworld. Kill or be killed is their watchword, and they rise to power over the bodies of those who once stood in their way. Nifty Varden was a man like that. He relished the life he led, and he reveled in the execution of a crime only when the chatter of a machine gun was echoed by the squeal of the tires on the getaway car. When times changed, and the methods as well, Nifty complained, frequently, and in no uncertain terms, to his henchmen Hooks Dodd and Peachy Palmer.
It's not like the old days. Give me one good cowboy job and I'll quit beefing.
Oh, that'll be peachy. What do we got to beef about, Nifty? The dough rolls in, the dames are like they always was, and no slugs flying around.
It ain't right, that's all. Too easy. You get soft.
I don't mind. I like it this way.
Yeah, I know. You think it's peachy.
Oh, it ain't so bad now, boss. You just think it's rotten because the old days look good so far away.
Not so bad. It's a cinch. Too much of a cinch. Pay off in a few places, split the territory with barrels and juke, and then collect. It's dull is all, just dull.
Nifty, can I say something?
Say anything you want, Peachy, only make it short.
Well, I ain't so sure.
Now, hold it, kid. Yeah?
Barton?
Who's this?
Merrill Summers. Barton there?
I'm here. What's on your mind?
I'm calling a meeting, Barton.
Another meeting for the love
We're all heading for trouble, Barton. You, Juke, and me. We better have a meeting.
What kind of trouble?
The character running for DA on the reform ticket.
That Mr. 2x2?
My pipeline says he means what he's been spouting.
Campaign malarkey.
Not with him. He believes what he says. If he gets in, and it's beginning to look like he will, he'll try to clean up the town. That means us.
So what? Why don't you just hit him in the head with a fistful of slugs from a chopper?
That's one way. There's other ways, too. So I'm calling a meeting. Tuesday, 5 o'clock. Be there?
Yeah, I'll be there, but it's just a waste of time. I say knock 'em off and get it over with.
I don't like Varden, Barrels. I don't like him, and I don't trust him.
Yeah, well, that goes for both of us, Duke.
But the fact remains that if the three of us don't handle this together, we're all done.
Bad as that?
Plenty.
Can we trust Varden? He's just likely to make a deal with this new DA.
Not with the DA. This guy is practically on our side that way. No deals.
I still don't trust Varden.
We gotta trust him. And since we split the rackets around here, he hasn't crossed any lines.
Okay, but you never know. How do you want to handle him?
Make out like we haven't been talking at all. Just waiting for him. You act like you're worried about this new type DA. Me, I'll play it like I ain't convinced. We'll find out what Varden's thinking. Okay, there's a knob on your side, too. Well, hiya, boys. Think you know Hooks and Peachy?
How are you?
Yeah, we know them, Varden.
What do you say, boys? Park 'em outside, Varden. All rods and hoods strictly out at this meeting.
Yeah? Yeah. Out. Okay. Outside, boys. Stick around the door.
Check, boss.
Sit down, Varden. We've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting. Start the spiel.
We've got a rough time ahead, Varden, if we don't do something fast.
That's so? How'd you figure that, Juke? On the same adding machine you figured the nickels from your jukeboxes?
Why,
now, frankly, Varden, I'm not as worried about this man as Juke is. Why not? Politicians and elections have been bought before. Now, I suggest a war chest. Say, 25 grand apiece with another 25 call money.
I don't believe you can buy this election. Too much reform in the wind. Too many independent voters. You never know what they'll do when they pull the curtain on election day.
Suppose we spent dough on research. Get something on the guy. Threaten publicity to him.
You've been seeing too many movies, Barrows. No soap with this guy. He's clean as a newborn baby.
You've checked on him?
All over town.
Okay, so what? So why worry?
Gentlemen, I think the man is dangerous.
Politicians make big promises. Period. Usually. Hey, look. What are you two guys worried about?
Obviously, Nifty, if this man becomes the new district attorney, there's every reason to believe he'll go through with his attempt to clean up the town.
And obviously, we shall have to pull in our horns for a while. Cut it. I knew you lugs before you started using half-dollar words. Before you worried about politics.
What's your suggestion, Nifty?
There's nothing in this world a lead slug won't take care of.
You're nuts, Nifty.
That's what you think. Me, I still figure like in the old days. A bum gets in your way, mow the man down.
You haven't learned very much all these years, have you?
I'm still a better shot than you are.
I ought to pin your ears back for that crack.
Why don't you try, you clod? Both of you. You know, this is just what the enemy wants. Get us fighting each other and we're all done. Maybe you're done. Not me. Ah, you too. We won't have much time to outsmart the DA, new or old, if we're gunning for each other. And I seem to remember that when we set up the deal in this town, we agreed that everything we had to do together, we'd do after we all agreed we'd found out the right way.
By unanimous vote.
Okay, so what? I still say knock the bum off. And have this town sewed up so tight we'd have to scram on the first train out? Try getting this man, you'll elect his party and his successor, and this town will be too hot for anybody for years. Okay. You got any better idea?
We might snatch his wife or his kid.
Same result. So now what? Forgetting for the minute that my idea is the only way, and no kidding. I guess we'll have to think about it more.
It's getting awful close to election.
Another meeting tomorrow?
Suits me.
Well, if we gotta, we gotta. I'm telling you, monkeys, the only way is the best way. Hot lead.
What you doing to the chopper, Nifty?
Just getting it ready, Hooks.
Oh, yeah? Big job?
The biggest. So big, we gotta leave the chopper behind, so I'm filing off the number.
Well, how's about the magazine? It's got a number 2, ain't it?
Help yourself. There's a file and the magazine.
Why you worried about the numbers, Nifty?
Never give 'em a chance to trace you, Hooks. And gun numbers are awful easy to check. When we do this job, boy, it's got to be perfect.
Nifty. Just peachy.
Good boy. Can you reach the lock?
Wait a minute. Just right. Your new limousine is ready, boss. Of course, the owner doesn't know it.
Save the comedy. Let me get at the dashboard.
Can't find the wire.
A flashlight, boss?
Oh, wait. Got him. Now, peel a little of the insulation. Splice the ends. Who needs a key to start a car?
Well, I should drive, boss?
No. This is too much like the old days, Peachy. I'm going to drive this jalopy myself. Hold your hat. Here we go. Smooth as silk. Got the gun. Now we get the car. Next stop, hooks and the private garage. Same old tricks, same old routine. Sure feels good for a change.
Sunday driver's got the bolts on the plates all rusted.
Well, then cut him with the clippers.
No. I got him. Oh, is he going to be sore when he finds out?
Who, Barrels?
No. The guy who owns his heat. When the cops come around and tell him his plates were on the murder car. Like they call it in newspapers.
That worry you?
Not me. I hate Sunday drivers anyhow. Okay. Got him, Missy. Let's go hitch these plates to our car. Then we'll be all set for the fanciest killing this town ever saw.
Okay, gentlemen. Any ideas?
Barrels? A couple. How about you, Duke?
I figure this guy is elected, see? Day after tomorrow, he's in.
We know that. Go on.
So we got to work around him. Now, the question is, how do you stop an eager beaver who wants nothing but convictions?
You don't have to tell me.
Aside from shooting him. Go on, Duke.
I figure it this way. If he's got no witnesses, he's got no cases. So we visit the witnesses. All of them.
Bright. Very bright. You could knock off one guy, but no. You got to chase in every rat hole in town and take off 100 characters instead.
It's safer. It isn't public.
Nobody will worry about a few stories.
Cut it. You make me sick. Think I'm keeping company right now with a pair of gutless wonders. A couple of jerks without the brains they were born with.
Are you coming along on this idea or not?
I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. I got to count the witnesses first. But I don't figure to spend the next 20 years in the can because some loose-mouthed cokey decides to pick up a couple of bucks turning state's evidence. I'll let you know what I figure to do unless you read it in the papers first. Good night, gentlemen.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Mow the Man Down. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Ward Wilson as Nifty Varden in Mow the Man Down. When Nifty slammed out of the board meeting, leaving Duke and Barrels behind him, those two gentlemen shrugged off Nifty's sarcasm and turned their attention to planning the attack on the men and women whom the new district attorney might use as witnesses against them. Not so Nifty. Not so at all. In his car, with Hooks driving and Peachy for company, Nifty began to outline his plan of attack.
Will this town sit up and take notice? Back into the headlines for old Nifty, boys.
Sure, boss, but ain't that just what Duke and Barrels are afraid of?
You bet your life. But not for the reason you think.
I don't get it, boss.
Well, look. Those two chiselers keep saying the cops will be down on us, but that ain't the point. The whole town knows they haven't the guts to pull off a stunt like this, so it'll be me in the headlines, not them. It'll be me who'll take over the rackets, pushing them out.
Hey, that'll be peachy.
Yeah, but then we'll have to fight them, too.
Not for long. Hey, what's the matter, Hooks? You going chicken on me, too?
Oh, me? Chicken? Are you kidding, Nifty?
Okay. Just don't let me start worrying about you, that's all.
Look, don't you never worry about me, boss. Don't worry about me.
Sure, don't worry about Hooks. Or me neither. We both go down the line with you, boss. You know that.
And keep it that way.
Well, we got the car and the gun, boss. Now what?
Now we wait.
Wait? What for?
To see if the dope gets himself elected. No sense wasting lead on a character who only wants to be a DA.
Yeah, I get it. So when do
Let him have it. Election night. If he's far enough ahead of the other guy running against him.
But there'll be 1 million cops around.
Yeah. And 2 million other dopes. Everybody trying to shake hands, pat him on the back, get a job for Cousin Joe.
So what about it? Happens every election.
So we walk into his headquarters, see? We want to shake his hand, too. And put something in his back besides an ache.
Oh, I get it. Then we scram while the women are screaming and the cops can't shoot. On account of they might hit somebody.
Right. Neat, huh?
Like a pin clear like a road map.
Sure sounds peachy.
Yeah, I got the timing laid out. The works. That guy gets himself elected. He's electing himself right into a 6-foot hole in the ground.
You know how I hate walking, Hooks.
This once it won't kill you. Sitting still might.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. You figure everything's just peachy.
So what's bothering you, Hooks?
Nifty's plan.
Well, I think
You say that again, you'll have me nuts.
Hey, what's wrong with you?
Look, Nifty's plan looks terrific, the way he tells it. Only I don't feel like being no sitting duck, not even for Nifty.
How you be a sitting duck?
I'm supposed to sit outside in the car with the engine running.
Well, you can't cut it. We'd lose all the starting time in the getaway.
Yeah, sure. And all cops ain't church like Nifty always says. Don't you see? They see that's a dance down outside the joint, engine running. They're going to check, see? And the minute they spot me, they'll know Nifty's inside. So they pick me up and go on inside after you and Nifty.
You tell this to Nifty?
Since when does he listen to me? Or you either?
It can't be like you say. Nifty wouldn't take chances.
Nifty ain't thinking, I tell you. All he wants is gunfights. Hungry for it. Like a lush one ain't had a drink in a month.
Hey, this is what you dragged me out to the park to tell me?
Yeah, that's right. If Nifty ever got wind of this...
Hey, he'd laugh at you.
Yes, some laugh on me with a hole from a 45 in my belly.
Nifty wouldn't touch
I
you.
ain't so sure. Listen, if you ever breathe a word to him and I hear about it before he gets me, I'm going to cut you to ribbons. And I'm not kidding.
Don't worry, Hooks. I ain't talking. And you quit your worrying. Nifty's plans are going to work perfect. They always do, don't they?
Now, turning to the local scene this election night, we find James Perkins, the reform candidate for the office of district attorney, so far ahead of his rival that there's little doubt of his election. Perkins' campaign headquarters are expecting the opposition to concede at any moment, and Perkins' headquarters is the scene of a victory celebration at this moment.
Time to move, boys.
Anything you say, Nifty?
Yeah, anything you say.
Okay, Peachy, you know where the chopper's stashed? Get it.
Check, boss.
Hooks, you got the keys to the car?
Match.
Okay. Take ours, drive out to the garage. Park ours and pick up the special. Be back here in half an hour.
Oh, I can do it in 20 minutes, boss.
Take half an hour. You want to get picked up for speeding tonight? Go on now. Do like I tell you. Beat it.
Summers speaking.
Barrels. I got a tip for you.
Who's this?
Never mind. When you see Nifty Varden last.
A couple of days ago. Who wants to know?
I ain't using no names. Only I figured you ought to know what Nifty's up to.
Keep talking.
He's gonna knock off the new DA. You know, Perkins.
When?
Tonight. Half an hour.
You're crazy.
That's what you think.
The crazy enough tonight.
Yeah, he figures to walk into the guy's headquarters, knock him over in the middle of the crowd.
And that's wild enough for Nifty. And wild enough for him to get away with it, too.
Okay. Now you know.
Why are you telling me?
On account of, I figure you might want to stop.
Why should I stop him?
Because you don't want the cops on your tail. Okay, talked enough. I gotta go. You got the story, Barrels. That's all.
What's the rush, Barrels? You sounded like somebody was putting you in the hot seat.
Don't kid about that. We're both practically in it now.
What's cooking?
Nifty.
What's he want to do? Knock off Perkins on election night?
A little birdie told you?
You're kidding.
Am I? And why had Hooks Dodd call me and tip me?
How do you know it was Hooks?
I kept him on the phone till I was sure.
Nifty's gone nuts. Completely nuts.
Which leaves us in a fine spot.
You know when and where?
Hooks was most explicit at Perkins' headquarters practically now. What do you think you're doing with that phone, Juke?
Calling the cops.
Oh, they'll believe you, of course. They'll thank you for the information and arrest Nifty at once.
If they know what's good for 'em.
Hang up the phone. They'll tell you to chase yourself, or they'll grab you and dump you into the crazy house.
Okay, you're right. So what do we do? Let him pull it off?
Check. Or we stop him ourselves.
Right. Next corner, Hooks.
Yeah, I know.
Pull up to the curb close as you can get. Double park if you got it. Peachy and me won't be long.
I hope not.
Repeat your share, Peachy.
I follow you in. I stop at the door of the room Perkins will be in.
Yeah.
When you yell, I shoot at the ceiling with my piece.
Right.
Then when the crowd runs, you let Perkins have it with the chopper. Then I follow you out. Backwards.
Good. A lead pipe cinch.
Holy smoke. Will you look at the mob?
The bigger the mob, the better for us.
Okay. Here we go.
Drive around the block.
Nifty.
What for?
Do like I say. All them jerks on the steps will break our necks. Let them get inside first. Turn the corner.
I thought you got cold feet, Nifty.
Thought? Or hoped, Hooks?
Oh, no, only thought.
You sure surprised me, boss.
That's the difference between you mugs and me. I use my head.
Yeah, sure do, boss.
Hey, suppose the crowd inside don't split like you figure them to, boss.
So a couple of jerks get hurt. So what? The woods are full of them. Nobody will miss a couple more or less.
Yeah, they only hang you once, Peachy.
I live without that, thanks.
Sure wouldn't live with it. Take it easy on the next corner, Hooks.
If they still got a crowd in the steps, you want I should keep driving?
Yeah. Might be too late for the morning papers if we waste any more time.
Oh, I sure would like to see Barrel's face when he reads about this.
The only face I want to see is Perkins when he looks into my chopper. Slow, Hooks.
Check.
Okay. Coast is pretty clear. Pull up and double park in front of that sedan.
Yeah, check.
Ain't it pretty? All the cops must be inside guzzling their heads off. Okay, boys, here we go. Peachy, open the door. Leave it open. Stay in gear, Hooks. Keep the clutch pedal down. No time to waste when we come out.
Except if he ain't going in.
What? Barrels.
Yeah, and me, too. Drop that chopper, Nifty. You're not going in.
How'd you find out? Who squealed?
Never mind the talk. That's our car behind you. You're covered from there. And we've got choppers, too. Now turn around. Get back in your car and keep driving till you're out of town, then stay out.
Says who? Try this in your guts, both of you.
That's for you.
Get back there. Yeah, looks like quite a collection for the meat wagon, Sergeant.
Yeah. Looks like Perkins got himself elected practically for nothing, too. You know who these mugs are?
Big shots.
The biggest. Barrel Summers, Duke Barry, Nifty Barden, and two of Nifty's boys. Hey, from the position of the bodies, you could almost say Barrels and Duke were trying to protect Perkins from Nifty.
You're kidding, Sarge. Who'd believe that?
Yeah, who'll believe that? Okay, lay off the talk. Call the meat wagon. Then go inside and tell Perkins he might want to see how effective he's been, even before he was sworn in. Brother, This is one for the books. One for the books, all right.
Crime does not pay. Ward Wilson, who has starred as Nifty Varden in Mow the Man Down, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Ward Wilson.
It occurred to me when I read this play that the sheer audacity of Nifty Varden was almost unbelievable. Almost because right now, today, there are men like Nifty who feel powerful enough to defy the law just as he did. What this means in terms of the open taxes paid by all citizens for the support of sufficient police to cope with this situation, and in terms of the hidden taxes paid by all of us to the underworld through the tribute levied by men like this, is also unbelievable, but very true, and more expensive. Nifty paid for his crimes. So did Barrels and Juke and the others. So do you and I, every day. And we'll continue to do so until public anger achieves the final destruction of rackets of all kinds. Until we come to realize that for ourselves as well as for the criminals, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical consultant is Burton B. Turkett. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.